Hello, hello. Good evening. It is Friday the 14th of August. It is just after 30 at night. Sorry it got so late. I had to do some yoga and I've just been rearranging things, trying to organize, stay on top of crap. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. So I'll give folks a minute to find the live. Let me text one or two of my peeps. And there we go. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Thanks for coming in. Put your chat on live chat if you want to be able to catch everything that people say. If we do have people come in and chat, hopefully, fingers crossed. Because silly YouTube, there's always so many glitches. It always reverts back to top chat. And then if you're not familiar with that, or if you forget, like a lot of us that are familiar with it forget, then you're like, how come I'm not seeing all the chats? Just Jackie, how are you, my dear? Lovely to see you. How's your night going? Thanks for coming in and saying hi. It's just really cool to see old faces or handles, right? You're good. Me too. I'm mostly good. It's a little warm. So I've got my fan on me. That always makes my nose tickle. So that's annoying. But yeah, I got my yoga done. Usually I have to choose between yoga and doing a live, but that's why I'm on so late because I did both. I think I started my yoga. I was trying to start at like 8 o'clock, but I don't think I started for a while. So that's what happened. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Anna Bees, what's happening? So hit your like button. I think you can see it if you can tell what it is. Like you wouldn't know what it was until I point it out and move it around right there. Now you can totally tell what it is. But yeah, it's just like over there. It's just some weird shape with some weird light. I need to work on that. Dang it. Okay. And then make sure you're still subscribed, all that jazz. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. I'm trying really hard to get back up to 4,000 subs by the end of the month, which will be my 4-year anniversary. And thank you guys so much for seeing me through it. It's amazing. Like when I started my channel, I was like, how am I even going to get one sub? I don't know how this works. And then, somebody gave me the hot tip about like trying to link yourself up with another large content creator. And I've confessed to you guys a bunch, but I want to give a shout out to Ryan Upchurch because even though, he's into that Confederate flag stuff and that bugs the crap out of me, absolutely bugs the crap out of me. I like his music and I like what he did for Kylie Rodney's case. Of course, I didn't like it when he said, she's not real and all that. And I hate what's happened to him with the lawsuit. And I just hope that turns around. But, Upchurch, sorry, opening a can of seltzer water. Upchurch has a lot going for him. And he really helped with the Kylie Rodney case. And now with this Nolan Wells case, my God. It just brings all my emotions about Kylie Rodney right to the surface. And it's just unbelievable. I think a lot of things are shifting in the Nolan Wells case today. I think a lot of things are shifting. So where to even begin? The big one is the insane interviews that they did with that crazy douchebag that calls himself an officer and he's not an officer. And, he was a public relations officer, which is very different from being a police officer. Okay. And he did a bunch of different jobs. Like he was on SWAT team and he did like training, but he was never a freaking cop. And he tries to pretend that he was because he went on drive-alongs. It's not the same. And even if he had been a real police officer, he needs to not call himself Officer Tatum. That's ridiculous. But man, is he doing these kids no favors. It's almost like he's trying to sabotage them. But I think that would be giving him too much credit, don't you? Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, and learn something and be educational. And all my videos are made for the tube of you. And it's an infotainment platform. We've had enough rain. Oh my goodness. Where you have to remind me, you know, I'm like Dora on Finding Nemo with the brain. Where are you at again, Just Jackie? Wisconsin? Are you in Wisconsin? I think you're in Wisconsin, right? And because I remember where Annabise is. I've asked her 100 times, so I know that she's in British Columbia. No, I'm just kidding. I gotcha. Yeah, Kansas City. Oh, good catch up on Nolan. I'm behind. Oh my goodness. Just Jackie. Okay, so last night I played the entire 1 hour interview of Race Batum Tatum with those three douchebag kids who just keep telling on themselves. And I'm like, go on, keep talking. They're insane. They're completely insane. Like they just keep spilling it. So that was a long video last night because I had to interrupt it about 20 million times because I had so much to say. But there's a 1 hour video, part 3 of Race Batum Tatum, and I linked it up in the description of the video last night. But yeah, I actually reviewed the entire 3 hours, and I was just like, I don't know. It's my opinion that I didn't really waste any airtime. I mean, there's just a lot to say in this case, a lot. And, I don't like to make videos that are that long for all of our sakes, but so I apologize that happened, but I think it was worthwhile. And I guess the viewers did too. It has like 500 views, which is a lot more than I get these days, which I thought was crazy. Yeah. Anyway, what was I going to say about interview number 1 and interview number 2 were several days ago, and I put both of those in the same video. So I'm like playing them on my laptop up to the screen of my cell phone. So I did those on my cell phone and holding the laptop like this, and there's like a little table, so I didn't have to like hold it up the whole time, but it took me a while to figure that out. Anyway, so those are the last few nights of these longer lives that are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And then last night, I think, was over 3. But the 3 interviews of Race Batum Tatum, you guys, I almost want to go over them again, like pull an all-nighter like right now and just like play the whole thing. But no, I don't. I got to get up in the morning for my daughter's soccer game. That's something we should plan. If you guys want to do that, if you want to maybe tomorrow night, try to start early. I know Anna B's works tomorrow night. But we could try to watch all 3 back to back in the same video. I don't know. Because I don't like doing it on my cell phone because then I can't keep up with your chat. How's it going, Big Hook? What's up? Let's see, shifting because they are lying liars. Yeah, they've totally busted themselves. And the people in the positions of authority are busting themselves too, like the sheriff. He's in deep. The coroner, of course, the district attorney. These guys are really stupid. But, they've gotten away with it all these years. So suddenly they can't get away with it anymore because, technology. It's so awful. Like one of the things that they confessed in that video that we played last night that Tatum dropped yesterday was that they'd been planning this 4th of July for an entire year. That as soon as July 4th of 2025 happened, starting like on July 5th, they started planning for this 4th of July. Even though they were just doing the same thing that they always do, according to them. They go out to Horn Island every year. But the thing is, when you go out to Horn Island, I asked Google, and Google told me that people go out there to watch the fireworks from the island because then everybody there has their own, and then you can see everything on the shore, because it's like 10 miles. Yeah, it's funny. It's about 10 miles out from the land, and it's 10 miles long. Oh, man. And they also Warren confessed that his mother was out there, Katie Seymour. He was like, yeah, I was calling my mom when she was on the other side of the island. I had to call her like 8 times. Remember that? I was making fun of him. Like, yeah, she just doesn't want to talk to you. But, I'm sure he could come back and be like, oh, I didn't mean that day. I didn't mean that day. But he was talking about that day. I mean, again, like I said, I think it might be interesting to replay all 3 of them back to back, but I don't know. I don't want to do it if it's going to be monotonous. I could just watch them. That might be monotonous. I'd rather watch them with you guys. You did get me. Oh, that's funny. You were like, Jazz, you think I'm in Canada? What? Yes, I think that's giving Tatum too much credit. Oh, totally. And I don't want to give him any credit. He's such a damn lying sack of crap. Oh my God. I saw the best interview today, you guys. I got to look at my notes. I think I wrote down the guy's name. I've seen him before. He's a wonderful individual. I think I've seen him on like Midas Touch and stuff like that. And he's a psychologist, or I think a psychologist. Let me see if I wrote down his name. I thought I did. It was such a good interview. Here's my notes from the interview. So I wrote Brandon Tatum interview, but I didn't write the name of the guy's channel. I had subbed up, so let me look. He's just brilliant. He did such a good job interviewing Brandon Tatum today at 2:00 live. I was watching it live, and I was just slamming Brandon. I just kept putting liar pants on fire and stuff like that. Let me see. I don't want to have any volume on this. I just want to see if I can find this content creator's name. It was so awesome. So if I'm in my history and going back, Secret Service Sam has been killing it. Lakeisha. But see, like, why does something show up in my history that I didn't watch at all? I did not watch that at all. I haven't watched that channel in forever. Elliot Connie is the psychologist. So maybe we should play that. I mean, it's 58 minutes long, and I don't want to be up all night with you guys as much as I love you. It's a really good interview, but also if it's okay that I hold it on my phone for you guys, we can see how it goes. I know it's annoying. It annoys me when I'm doing the thing with the phone, just because it's like hard to get it at the right angle and with the glare and everything. Oh, quit talking about my Invisalign big hook. No, you're funny. You kind of remind me of like the boy pulling the braids of the girl in the school bus. And honestly, you're nice and I like the attention. So you're fine, but it does crack me up. Okay. It was a really good live. Oh, thank you, dear. It was so damn long. I couldn't believe it. But again, part of the problem is on my cell phone. Like here, I'm always looking to see what time we're at, so I know how long we've been on and how much longer we want to go and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not monitoring it the whole time, but I know exactly where to look to monitor it. And I don't even know where to look on my cell phone to monitor it because there's so much going on the tiny screen, and I was missing all your chat, and you guys were nice to stick around when I was being so arrogant and dismissive and negligent, abandoning you guys in the chat. But I caught up for it later, right? Towards the end. She will never remember where I am from. Her Invisalign isn't in, so the odds aren't good. Big Hook, I thought you were from Canada. Vancouver. I know exactly where to find you. And it's just a tiny island, right? It's no bigger than Horn Island. No, for anybody who doesn't know, Vancouver Island is gargantuan, absolutely gargantuan. Um, and now Victoria is its own island, right? It's not part. Wait, yeah, Victoria. No, I'd have to look at a map. It's been so long. So I lived in the Seattle area for like 20 years, but I've been to Victoria. Isn't Victoria on Vancouver Island? But then there's also like the city of Vancouver, right? Vancouver Island and the city of Vancouver. And then doesn't Washington State have a Vancouver down close to Portland? Yeah, it does, right across the bridge from Portland. So there's Washington, Vancouver, Washington, and then there's Vancouver, Canada. And then it's Vancouver, British Columbia. And then there's Vancouver Island. So you have Vancouver Island and the city of Vancouver. You're in the city, I think, right? Because you've never said Vancouver Island. And then Victoria is on Vancouver Island. But I had only been to Victoria once. It was on my 30th birthday. So we took the ferry from Sequim, or from Port Angeles, from Port Angeles, Washington, which is where they filmed An Officer and a Gentleman. If you guys remember that movie, that was a good one. Anyway, congrats on the 500 views. Thank you. It's exciting to get more views. It's like, I feel like I'm cracking this case in some ways. So today, the big thing, this channel that I've spoken about before, but she's mostly on TikTok, so I'm not that familiar with her. She's called Nerdy Pink Panda, and she's been crushing it on the Nolan Wells case. And today, she came out with this whole thing about how the pictures of Nolan are AI. Guess who's been saying that for like a week already? With the necklaces, the cross necklace. I was even mentioning it last night. So now it's spread like wildfire today because her channel is on fire. And I think she identified it on her own. It's not that hard to identify it. Like, it wasn't until I was comparing those pictures of the four of them lined up and noticed the necklaces were different. And then there's like one where Warren's brother, what's his name? Starts with an M. It's a weird name for a boy. Not Madison. Anyway, I'll look at my... Warren's brother, Seymour is his last name. Oh, it's so annoying. Too many names. Anyway, the guy on the end is wearing a long sleeve shirt in one of the photos of the four of them, but then the other photos, he's not wearing a shirt. And, the other three aren't wearing a shirt in any of the pictures, but the guy on the other end, who is Eric with the long brown hair and wearing the white necklace, he's got a cross on in one of the pictures, and then the same pose. Because, yeah, the pictures could be like a series of pictures, so they could be a little bit different than each other. That's real life. But the cross is gone. And the background is really different. And the background's not going to change that much in, a sitting like that, because it's like extraordinarily different. Anyway, I was taking a closer look at the picture this morning and thinking, the whole thing is AI. Like they screwed up with like the side of, is it Morgan Seymour? They screwed up with the inside of his ribs. So that maybe that's why they put the long sleeve shirt on him in some of the pictures, because they were having trouble doctoring up the inside of the ribs, because he's on the end. So one side of him is like, to the open air. And then the other side of him is Jax. He has his arm around Jax. And, and all the boys are just like way too affectionate, because why? Because they were they were posing, they were doctoring it to try to make it look like they were best friends with Nolan. Remember how I was saying how like they almost look like they're making out, and I was like, I wonder if there's like some homoerotic tension going on. Nothing wrong with that. But no, they just invented all of these pictures of themselves with Nolan. Even Scammy didn't do that with Kylie, did she? I don't remember a single picture of her and Kylie together, except maybe that one that's like Weekend at Bernie's that was like the Be Real. And I'm not sure that that's Sammy in the picture. The girl looks like she has brown hair. But Sammy had brown hair up until real recent when Kylie's tragedy happened. Also, it's looking more like we might not know when they essentially kidnapped Nolan. You know, I think they kidnapped him. I think they were holding him against his will. I don't think he went out to that island to party with them. If the one coach that says he saw Nolan on the island that day can be trusted, and you would think because he's a coach he could be trusted, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you got teachers, you got pastors, you got all kinds of people. So the one coach said he talked to Nolan, but all the other people that claim that they saw him are not trustworthy. So for all we know, he was compromised before he got out there, because I've wondered about that with the advanced decomposition. Ugh. Okay, but I'm missing some of your stuff here. Josh is here. Woohoo. Just Jackie's in Northwest Ohio, like up by Toledo. I'm in Southwest Ohio, like by Springfield. We are in the same state. How come I didn't realize that? Let's see. Do you think his friends were in on it? Yeah. I don't think they were friends. I think that's just a cover. I don't think they were friends. You know, one of the things we didn't notice, you guys, in that 1 hour interview that I played last night, and it'd be interesting to watch the first two to see. In the video last night, every time they talked about Nolan, I'm not sure every time, but a lot of the times they were saying Nolan Wells. Nolan Wells. Nolan Wells. It's like, you're not going to say your friend's last name every time you mention them. That was just crazy. And what's even crazier is that we didn't catch it. Like, how did that happen? Hi, Anna. I'm Northwest Ohio. So why did they leave early before the fireworks? Well, I think that what happened was that they were probably like toying with him, like playing a cat and mouse and like torturing him basically. And that this is just my theory. I don't think that they were planning on ending it for him until like the grand ceremony, like probably along with the fireworks, and potentially an actual LYNCH back there at the bayou, where there's a bunch of permanent benches surrounding a tree without any explanation. Like permanent benches outside surrounding like a fire pit. Yeah, that's like a normal, camp thing, but surrounding a tree. Okay, in Mississippi. It's my thought that at some point they did get him there, but that they were thinking that that would be like the grand finale. Sorry, trigger warning. And that things were getting out of hand on the boat when they were making that distress call. And in the background, it really sounds like he's actively getting unalived. So, when they're saying, oh my God, and damn it, Bart, and is he breathing? Check his chest. Nolan, wake up, wake up. I think that they accidentally unalived him maybe at that point, and they didn't intend to do it right then. And then if they did, I don't know how long it would take. I would think pretty much instantaneously once you pass away that you're, like Shanann Watts or like anybody, that your bodily fluids get released. So if that happened on the boat, that would make sense why they're like freaking out about that whole thing about we're sinking, the bilge pump, we're going down. Maybe that was all because there was stuff on the floor of the boat, on the deck, that nobody wanted to smell or step on. And so they were flipping out and they didn't know what to do. And that's when Bart came and helped and then let the plug out and then drug the boat. I think I'm figuring it out as I'm saying it, you guys. So they did that to get all of the excrement out, maybe. I think we might have hit it on the head. I'm having a moment. Damn. This is what's cool about the tube of you, is that we've got like the hive mind. And so we can all throw these theories out and then see what seems to be holding water. And then, we can work off of each other and evolve off of each other. And I have not heard anybody say that, but I'm thinking that that's what happened. And I have heard a lot of great content creators putting out a lot of great material. So, like I was saying, Lakeisha Keisha is one of my favorites right now, as is What She Said Sports. I was just watching her right before I came on live. And then a couple of male content creators. One, I really like him. His name is like Classic Code. I'll put a link in the description. He's new to me. And then Reese Waters keeps covering it. And it was on Democracy Now! Today. Nolan Wells's case was on Democracy Now! Because it's official as of yesterday that there's an official FBI request for them to commandeer the case, which they should have from the beginning because it happened on federal property. But the locals wanted to control it because, they wanted to control it. I think they'll get the same cooperation that they would want from Kash Patel and this administration. But I think there's a better chance for things to go better outside of Mississippi. I think Mississippi is just screwed. Even though it sounds like a lot of people there are seriously upset with this whole thing. Like they're harassing Warren and his friends. So the biggest thing from the interview yesterday was that there was like the crowd that came over to Warren's house or Jax's house. There's been so much confusion about whose house they slept at and, who's on first, who's on which boat. Jax's grandparents were out of town. And so the party was at Jax's house. And they did have a pool party on the 4th of July after all of the stuff happened with Nolan earlier in the evening. So Warren called Nolan's mom, Christine, from the pool party because somebody was urging him to, allegedly. But he was at the pool party and he kind of had to like interrupt himself from the party to call her. And then she posted on Facebook. And then all of Nolan's friends were freaking out, his real friends. And I think they found out from, probably from like Snapchat and stuff. They were communicating with these people like, where's Nolan? And then they were like, where are you? And so then they showed up to Jax's grandparents' house where they were having the pool party. Like 10 or 15 of Nolan's friends like actually came into the house and Jax was freaking out. And he called the police. But I think Warren called the police because the friends were demanding to know where the boat was. And Warren was like, it's at my house. And they were making him give them his address. So then the friends were like swarming over to Warren's house to go examine the boat. And then Warren, being the freaking Slender Man baby that he is, called 911 and called the police and said, all these kids are going over to my parents' house and they're home and they won't know what's going on. Like, what white privilege is that? There's a bunch of teenagers going over to my parents' house. And why not just call your parents and say, there's a bunch of kids that are coming over and, be ready. And I don't know if things get out of hand, you might want to call the authorities. But he doesn't call his parents. Again, I don't think he has a good relationship with them. I think he's a problem child and that they're sick of his crap. But all that whole thing was just crazy. So they were very confrontational. They were very angry because those were Nolan's real friends. Those were probably mostly, if not all, Black friends. And then these were most definitely all white, not friends. And these friends of Nolan knew that these weren't his friends. And they were like, what do you mean you lost Nolan on the island? They were like, what the fuck, So yeah, I don't think his friends were in on it. I think these people groomed him all year to do this at the 4th of July this year. And I hate to say that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that it's a lot more innocent than that. But I don't think it is. And if it's a freaking federal hate crime, it's a life sentence for every single person involved. You don't have to be the one that did the actual unaliving. If it's a hate crime, you're toast, man. You will not see the light of day. So that's why they keep throwing Katie in there to try to make it seem like a jealousy thing with Bart. And, there might have been something like that, but if it was, I don't think that was the main thing anyway. And it's very likely that it's not even a thing, that's just completely invented. So why did they leave early before the fireworks? Jackie, I think they were. That sounds good. Josh sees. I said hi a minute ago, Josh sees, but then I got all excited and I want to say hi more better. How are ya? And Josh is in upstate New York. Is it okay if I shout out the states that we're all in, just because that's my jam? I just love to know geographically where people are. I'm such a weirdo like that. I've always liked maps and things. What the hell? Just Jackie. I know. It's insane. When this case first hit the YouTube, which was pretty quickly after the 4th of July, I didn't really pay much attention because I'm like, oh, the kid drowned. That's terrible. And then it was like, wait, it sounds like foul play. And then it was like, oh, wait, no, that's definitely foul play. I mean, there's enough information available to know that it's 100% foul play. It's just who done it. Like it could have been some rando, right? It could have been anybody, but they implicated themselves with all of their stupidity. And for that, we can thank them. I was watching her video. Oh, what she said sports. I love her. I think she's great. And yeah, she doesn't sugarcoat it. So she's not the only person, trigger warning, she's not the only content creator that I've heard talk about this. And I hope she's wrong, but I have a feeling she's not. Trigger warning, I'll just spit it out, that they urinated in Nolan's mouth after he was deceased, and that's part of why they took the throat and the stomach. Like, that's just so disgusting. That's so disgusting. Yeah, she said that right away about the well, I've been saying we have to look out for AI all along, and like I thought that the background noise in the CASHAPP call had to be planted. I thought that that had to just be a mind F. I was just like, there's just no way. Like, that would be so convenient that they were audio taped in the process of committing the crime. But I think that that's exactly what happened. I think that it was, I've always thought it was a fake distress call because it never made sense. Just the whole line of conversation doesn't make sense. But that they were doing that as an alibi to try to get something on record, but then they ended up just being like the stupidest criminals in the world, tape recording themselves committing the actual crime. But there's a lot of crimes. If they kidnapped him and they stole his phone, you know, remember in the video last night with Ray Spadum Tatum, where they're like, it's not like we're going to steal somebody's phone. It's like nobody was accusing you of stealing anyone's phone, but now I'm thinking you stole his phone. But the more he says, it's like, yeah, he absolutely stole Nolan's phones. One of the things I noticed that he said in a clip when I rewatched it today was when he was talking about giving the phone to his mother or to his mother's friend, he said, he used the phrase, I gave it back. I gave them the phone back. That's not, you're not going to phrase it like that. If you're like, you know, I returned the phone to them. I gave them their son's phone, but he said, I gave it back because he had stolen it. He had stolen it. You know, that your phone is like your lifeline. You know, that's how you would call 911. That's how you would call for help. It's the pose that's the giveaway. Which pose? The four of them on the boat, Josh? Oh, say more. I'll try to get caught up right here. Let's see. So much like Kylie. Sorry, it jumped. Okay, now that the photos were AI, we both texted about it too. Yeah. Well, once I found the photos and I set them side by side, and I think I used them on some thumbnails and or on some community posts. So you can look at them if you scroll through my channel. You can look at the photos side by side, like, you know, with the t-shirt, with the long sleeve t-shirt, without the long sleeve t-shirt. And the thing is that like Nolan's hand is in the exact same place. And it's like, if you're just hanging out with your friends with your arms around each other, your hand's not going to be in the exact same place on someone's collarbone when someone has taken off a shirt or put a shirt back on. You know, your hand's going to be in a slightly different place. But, you know, I was noticing last night, I was looking at Nolan's hair, how it always kind of spikes up in this one spot. And that's because they keep using like the same template, like the same original photograph to try to reproduce him. So like there's this one like little nap that sticks straight up. And you know, maybe that's kind of a slam on him too, like making fun of his nappy hair. And he has really cute hair. But yeah. You know, also I noticed in some of the photos of Nolan, and this might just be the way he's built, is that he has kind of unique neck structure, like the muscles, you know, because he's very well built. He's slender, he's muscular, but his neck is, it's just a lot from, I don't even know how to describe it, from his shoulder to his actual neck. You know how football players get that big buildup of neck muscles right here, like that would be like the traps, right? The trapezoids. But his just look disproportionate to the rest of his physique. And it could just be that that's the way he's built, but that's always kind of struck me. So now I'm thinking, okay, that maybe that's part of the AI, you know, that they just don't get it quite right. But yeah, just trying to make themselves look so damn affectionate with him. It's insanity. Like, guys are not that affectionate in photographs. They're just not. They're not like holding each other's thighs with their arms around each other and arms around waist, hands on waist and all this shit. kept talking about their relationship with Nolan, Warren especially. My relationship with Nolan. And they don't do sleepovers. Boys don't do sleepovers. Guys don't do sleepovers. Men don't do sleepovers. Young men. I mean, young boys do sleepovers. But yeah, I mean, frat boys do sleepovers, but that's a whole nother thing. And who knows? I mean, some of these guys probably are frat boys at their colleges. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting caught up. Yeah, the problem is that without any direct forensic evidence to tie it to any particular individual, I think these white teenagers will walk on the red room charges. Jury will not be able to convict. It's a possibility, Big Hook, and I hope that you're incorrect. I definitely don't want to be overly optimistic, but I think that the forensic evidence is there, and that's why they're hiding the throat structure. That's why they're not providing the forensic evidence. Like the other kids' phones. Nolan's mother has his phone, and her attorney keep trying to get the prosecuting attorney to schedule with them to go through the phone together. But I mean, I would think that there's some stuff on that phone that is going to be very, very good evidence, probably on all of their phones, even though they've deleted things. That's more of a crime too, the tampering with evidence. So, but again, this whole area of Ocean Springs has heavy ties to TikTok. So like that TikTok influencer, Nerdy Pink Panda, man, she's been getting trolled. They will be reputationally known as having lynched, but unable to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. I think that there were a lot of witnesses, so I have hope for this case. I do, because there's so much national pressure and actually international pressure. And because they're so stupid, and because they keep talking, and like that lawyer that they hired, the one with the chiclet teeth, God, Edward, I don't even know his last name. I think it starts with a P. He's such a loser, mobster flunky. And then the other guy, Tyler Cox, their original attorney. So the two of them are working together. He's smoother than Eddie, but he's not very good either. I mean, if he was a decent attorney, he would not have let them interview with anybody on a YouTube channel. And if he was going to let them interview with anybody, it would be somebody like George Stephanopoulos, right? Or Terry Moran, or Nora. What was Nora's last name? Nora Lawrence, I think. Some of these people from more like mainstream media, basically. Not a YouTuber, and not like a TPUSA YouTuber. OMG, I think you're right, Jazz. They kidnapped him. Yeah, I think they kidnapped Kylie too. I do. Again, this case is like triggering all my Kylie trauma. It really is. I'm sure you guys can tell. And just the absurdity of when they tried to shove that narrative down our throats when she was discovered, and they did the autopsy, and then they're like, yep, she drowned. And it's like, okay, you can't be trying to tell us that all of your law enforcement with all those hours being right there are so stupid that you couldn't find her right there. You can't possibly be wanting that to fly. Yet that was their story, and they were sticking to it. It's just like, OMG. Oh, she lives in Simpsons Land. Yes, I do. So much like Kylie. Yeah. Without a witness and forensic evidence, I think he is going to be a tragedy unsolved. No, I think that what's going to happen is, I think it's already happening, is that the adults that are involved, like the DA, Angel Myers McIlrath, and whatever his name is, Governor Tate, I think it'll come to me, Sheriff Ledbetter, they're all shitting bricks because they realize that they could go to jail for the rest of their lives for having involvement in a hate crime. So I think they're going to try to pin it on the kids, because probably the whole town was involved. It was probably mapped out for the whole freaking year as this big Confederate twisted Klan celebration of white nationalism. They were probably so excited that their dude was in office that they thought that they had it in the bag. Like, they were probably just relishing this. And imagine if there's like Klan meetings where they spoke about it. Imagine. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And so the kids might be like the ones that had to do the dirty work to kind of earn their stripes and get their credentials to move up in the ranks, with their stupid red beads and all that crap. And the cross on Eric's neck might not just be a cross. That might be, more of a memento or symbol. But let me get caught up. I'm still not caught up. So much like Kylie, without a witness. Okay, I read that one. Let me highlight it. Did I highlight it already? Hey, Josh. Stop that. What happened? Big hook. I bet more will come out, but not enough for convictions. See, I think that there are going to be convictions. What I wanted to finish saying is that, I think they're dying to keep Bart protected, but I don't think that's going to be possible. I think that those three boys that were sitting with Tatum, Reese Batum Tatum, is it Morgan and Warren and Jax, and then Bart and a couple of others. I think all of them basically have the red stuff on their hands. And so, they're going to try to protect their little football star, but I don't think it's going to end well. Even though his mommy and daddy are friends with the governor, do his mommy and daddy want to go to jail for the rest of their lives? Probably not. And hate crime, if you're involved, that was an Obama law. That's why they hate Obama. I think it was 2009. It was the Matthew Shepard and somebody else thing that changed it to make it a life sentence if it was a hate crime. And again, not just the one committing the actual red rum, but anybody involved in the hate crime. Okay. If they cleaned the body up before the reveal with just evidence of drowning, then I think this will become a cold case. I don't think they have evidence of drowning. I think if they did, they would have shown it already, because it's been 5 weeks and they had that first autopsy within the first couple of days. I don't think they have anything to prove a drowning. That makes sense. They need to have the trial outside of Mississippi, 100%. I'm still curious if there was nitrous at the island party and the blow, very good possibility of it. Jazz, you just said what I just typed again. Anna Bees, get out me brain, girl. How old were these kids again? Like 20? Yeah. So again, Bart, the football star, is 21, maybe even 22. I saw 22, but then people have been saying 21, but I bet they're just trying to pretend that he's a little bit younger. Most of these boys or young men are probably 19. Nolan was going to be turning 19 on the 19th, this coming Wednesday. They were all older than him though, so they probably are more like 20. Josh, you probably nailed it. Speculation without confirmation is not chargeable. I think it would be a hung jury and the case will go cold because the expensive trial won't be accepted. Although, there's a lot of famous people who have been throwing big bucks at the case already, and I forget a lot of them. I can list a handful of them off the top of my head. Tyler Perry, I think, put in a ton of money. Al Sharpton put in a ton of money. Spike Lee, I don't know if he put in any money yet, but he went to the funeral. And then Colin Kaepernick put a ton of money into the funeral. D.L. Hughley keeps talking about it. Reese Waters keeps talking about it. Like I said, Democracy Now! Talked about it on their news today. Obviously Nancy Grace and a lot of these bigger content creators are talking about it, and it's coming into the mainstream news. I mean, I thought it was big when it was talked about on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, when Leslie Jones did a skit about racism that was, she's not a regular on the Daily Show. It was like she came onto the Daily Show for this long 10-minute skit about racism just to get to like the last 60 seconds where she talked about Nolan Wells. So I think more and more famous people are going to be getting involved and putting more money towards it. There's like a children's entertainer, a female, I think her name is Rachel Ray. Miss Rachel. Rachel Ray is like the cook, right? The culinary arts person. Her name is Miss Rachel, and she's kind of like a Pee Wee Herman or Mr. Rogers type. And so she's talking about it on her little kids show. And I know Rihanna's talked about it. I know a lot of famous people are starting to talk about it. So, and throwing money at it. So Nolan's family has close to $1 million in their GoFundMe account. And then of course the white boys have like double that in their Go Send Fund. I forget what they call their MAGA GoFundMe. Give, Send, Go, right? That's what it is. Give, Send, Go. They better not have destroyed the autopsy evidence. I know. What did I miss up here? Did I miss a few? How did that happen? Yeah, a whole bunch. Stop. Let me go back. Sorry, you guys. I love your chat. I just got to get caught up. Okay. Was it right around there? Big hooks. Hughes, but I'm currently visiting family in Illinois. Yeah, Josh. Where in Illinois? Like near Chicago? I love Chicago. Upstate New York is gorgeous too. But yeah, Chicago is one of my favorite cities. Absolutely another case of the elites, right? The white privilege, man. Has there been an autopsy report yet? So yes, but the first autopsy report is sealed, the one in Mississippi that belongs to the authorities. And then the second autopsy that Colin Kaepernick paid for in Washington, D.C., that's not sealed, but it's inconclusive because they didn't have the throat, the lungs, the stomach, and some other things. So, and they've asked just to be able to examine those items and the report so that they can complete their report. For sure, you will never go without your phone. Oh, I know. I mean, I lost my phone for like half an hour today, and it pissed me off so much. I was just like, where's my phone? It was so funny. I have to have it like attached. Seriously. Jackie, you were right on point. Now it will be political because of the elite families. Oh, completely. Completely. And that Angel Myers McIlrath, who just disgusts me because I think she got her appointment as the DA by screwing the lead chief detective in the DA's department that she worked in as the director of the Child Protective Services Division. And here, Nolan was practically a child. He was 18. And she doesn't give a damn, it doesn't seem. Because if she did, she would not have put out that really stiff delivery of 3 minutes of basically stonewalling. She would have gone out in public and done a press conference and answered what questions she could and tried to keep everything under wraps as much as possible. But she would have been real encouraging, like, we'll give you the information as soon as we can. We understand. But if all of them are allowing unalivers to be roaming the streets of their small town, this is insanity. And yeah, those people in those positions of power are going to be able to pull the right levers to keep themselves out of jail. But I don't think they're going to be able to protect the people that actually did it. I really don't. Even Bart, I don't think they're going to be able to protect him because too many lies. It started with trying to say that he hadn't been back in Mississippi since last summer. And he doesn't just say it, he like posts it publicly. So thank you for that. And then his mommy gets out there and posts publicly, no, that's not what he meant. He just meant he hadn't been to one specific town in Mississippi for a year. He was here the beginning of the month, and now he's back getting his gold boot prize for, getting drafted by the NFL. Jackie, you are right on point. Now it will be political because of the elite families. No, they are not going to hang on each other like that. Yeah, boys cuddling in photographs together. Not so much. Not that I've seen in my lifetime. With the threat of all of them being charged, it enforces the code of silence because if one goes down, they all go down. Big Hook, you have a lot of really good points, but you're so harsh in your reality. Please sugarcoat it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I like it. I like that you're just putting the harsh truth, laying it down as you see it. And yeah, you have a very solid perspective for sure. So let's read this depressing message. If one goes down, they all go down. If I say no more talk and let lawyers direct the doubt so they will shut down. But the thing is that they won't stop talking. They're all so damn stupid. And I think they've said too much already. I think the Tatum interviews, I think they're toast. Would that be connected to the marking on the back of his neck and the hairline? Would what be? Just Jackie, taking the throat structure out? I don't think so because it was days after his passing, but I don't know if that's what you're asking or something else. Maybe if he were strung up, if you were literally strung up, which I can't imagine that he wasn't because this is Mississippi. It was the 250th anniversary of our nation. And what were they doing with him for 36 hours from the night of the 4th until the morning of the 6th? They better have not destroyed the autopsy evidence. I know. And that's the thing. Like, that's why, of course, his mom's not going to trust them with the phone because they'll lose it. I've seen law enforcement do that. Like, oh, we lost the evidence. Sorry, not sorry. they do play games like that. We don't have that footage. We don't have that part of the 911 call. There was a glitch in the system. You were right, Big Hook. I know he is. I just don't want him to be. No, I want him. I like to be. What's the word? Cautiously optimistic. At least Nolan should have water in the lungs, and Kylie did not. In your presence! What's going on, girlfriend? It's been forever. How's it going? Nice to see you, my lady. Hello there, enemies. Great to see you. Yes, I didn't think he didn't have water in the lungs. That's why they didn't produce him for the second autopsy. Yeah. Yep. I know. It was so infuriating when they tried to say she drowned. Ugh. I think there will be convictions, Annabise. Annabise is really smart and on it too. So her and Big Hook are going to go toe to toe on this one. In your presence. Wait, he had no water in his lungs? Well, his lungs have not been included for the second autopsy. So they're not saying. It's been 5 weeks. So I think if there was water in the lungs, they would have said that. They would have been like, oh, yeah, he drowned. There's water in his lungs. But they removed his throat. So they don't have any of the throat structure for the second autopsy. And the first autopsy is sealed. So they don't know if that, is it called the hiatal bone? They don't know if that's broken. Hyoid bone. I'm not sure. Annabise would know. And then the stomach, the lungs, and I want to say something else too. But so they held those things back. The lungs were dissected. So I think they gave him some dissected lungs, but like both of them were dissected. Like you wouldn't need to dissect them both. It's gross. Good to see you, Mrs. G. Mrs. G, we don't know. They did not say anything about water in the lungs. It's so much like Kylie's case, Mrs. G. It's just completely triggering me. It's bringing me to my knees. It's, Kylie's case is still all screwy. So we have like all the same features, like the older kid trying to say that they're best friends with the younger kid and trying to control the narrative. And then, somebody that showed up at the party for 10 minutes, just like Mags with the Lord of the Flies party, doing these like PR things instead of just like not. I mean, if you're not guilty, why are you getting PR people involved? Come on. Nitrous wouldn't show up in toxicology. Yeah, I'm confused because I thought they said he drowned. That's what they said they thought happened at the beginning before they found him. And then the first couple of days after they found him, they were trying to keep saying that. And then it became more apparent that that's not what happened. So now the authorities, I think today even the sheriff has, maybe, don't quote me on this, I think today the sheriff acknowledged that there was foul play, maybe. I have to look into that more. But they're coming around slowly but surely. So yeah, initially the sheriff said he drowned, no suspicion of any foul play. He said that way too quick, like literally within an hour, I think, of Nolan's remains being found. And he wasn't like waterlogged. The remains were not waterlogged. IYP, yep, that's what they said. They lie. I don't know what IYP is. I'll have to look that up. I'm so glad Nancy Grace has been saying they were lying from the get-go. I know. And, I think a lot of folks think Nancy Grace is a mixed bag, and she can be, but for the most part, I think she's rock solid. And I think she's doing this case such a great service. I just hope that she continues doing this case a great service. Lakeisha Keisha was criticizing her today for not knowing something that was like way earlier in the case. And it's like, I'm not going to criticize people for not knowing everything, even though Nancy has the resources to get all that information. It's like she covers a lot of cases, and I do think she really cares about Nolan's case. I don't think it's just you know just to make money. I don't think it is for her. I don't think any of what Nancy Grace does is just to make money. Certainly she's making a lot of money, but she had her fiance get red rummed when she was in her 20s, and that's what got her involved in true crime and seeking justice. And I think she gets very, very dedicated in most of her cases. Not all. I mean, you can't possibly cover that many cases and be that invested in all of them. I mean, I don't cover that many cases, and I only cover the ones that I get invested in, really. I don't know how people do it that cover so many cases. And it's sad because then I think you're just kind of being more shallow with each case, and that you don't have a big investment in getting to the truth. You're just trying to do your show, basically. Bart can forget about the NFL. Oh, he's such a dirtbag. He was so threatened by Nolan. I mean, Nolan was so much more handsome than him and taller. And yeah. Joseph Scott Morgan, host of Body Bags, needs to speak up on Kylie's fake. Joseph Scott Morgan has been doing a lot in Nolan's case, and I'm so glad. He's really good. It would be awesome if he got into Kylie's case. There's this content creator called Veriscope. Are you familiar with that one in your presence? Veriscope has covered the Watts case, and he's done a great job on it. He's totally been taken for a ride by Officer Ray Spadum Tatum on Nolan's case. But I think he shied away from Nolan's case because he doesn't, I think he probably realizes that now, and so he doesn't really know how to get back into it. He's also in the UK, so he doesn't understand like the culture of Mississippi. All you got to do is watch that one movie, Mississippi Burning, and you'll get it, even if you're from another country. I'm going to Chicago at the end of the month. Awesome. Everything from this point on is speculation. Unless someone talks, this case will stall out in investigation and the prosecutor will not bring forward a weak case. The thing is, Big Hook, is they're all talking. They're all talking. And especially Warren, who is the one in charge, has gotten, because he was already pretty skinny to start with, but he wasn't like the windbag that he is now. I don't know if he's doing substances or if he's just unable to eat, but he looks, in reality, without exaggerating, like he's lost at least 20 pounds, if not 30 pounds in a month. He was skinny to start with, and now he's like Skeletor. I mean, he's probably eating away at himself because he's up to his eyeballs in this whole thing. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail for sure. He's probably thinking, how can I pin this on, what's the one kid's name? Oh, the fake friend that's, is it Tristan? It's not Tristan, is it? Something like that. Anyway, yeah. Because there's the two other half black, half white friends of Nolan's that were friends with these boys. And Javon is the one that is actually Nolan's friend. And then I want to call him Satan. What is his name? It's something like Tristan. Anyway, let me try to get caught up. I keep trying. And you guys keep commenting, and you have so many great comments. So, but he did get drafted. Bart got drafted by the NFL? Really? I mean, I know he got the gold boot on July 15th. So I know that's a huge promise. I don't know if that's actually a draft. Maybe it is. I'm not well versed in football. Yeah, they are toast from all the lying in that interview. I feel optimistic about it. Hi, everyone. Patricia, woohoo, just got home. I'm going to start from the beginning. Bye. Nice to see you, girl. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. Please hit the like button and stay with us, Patricia. Please, you're so cute. Please stay. Don't go away. About Warren, you're right. I think it's guilt and probably doing substances. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be so nervous. I mean, he's such a little brat. All these boys are such perfect examples of like white privilege, man. It's grotesque, isn't it? Trayston. Yeah. So not Tristan, because that's like a girl's name. Trayston. I think that's right. No, you said he got drafted. No, he's very likely to get drafted. So I don't know what it means. Getting the gold boot is like a big deal. I think it's the NFL that gives like 2 gold boots. Or it was 2 this year anyway. So that was July 15th. So he's a punter, and he's very likely going to get drafted by the NFL. But I think this is his junior year. I could be wrong. Maybe this is his senior year, because he's 3 years older than Nolan. Yeah, it might be his senior year, actually. Wow. Okay. Let me see what I got in my notes. And was I going to play maybe some of the interview with that content creator, Connie? What's his name? Elliot Connie. Let's just start it up and see.
Angry all the time. This is started to fold. He's drooped down like this.
See how this works, if it is not too annoying on my phone. He did such a good job interviewing Brandon. Okay. See if he's familiar.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Elliot Connie Live. Before I say anything else, I want to say thank you guys so much for being here and supporting me and supporting my platform, my mission, and my purpose. We have a cool conversation scheduled for today, something I've been looking forward to doing, and it's gonna be cool. We're gonna have a good talk and hopefully get some things out in the open in a way that is positive and productive. But before we get to that, I need everybody to do me a favor. One of the best ways you can support people like myself is to simply subscribe. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the follow button. Like this video. It doesn't cost you a single thing, but means the absolute world to me. So thank you. Now, today's guest is former police officer Brandon Tatum.
Not an officer.
Currently one of the leading voices in the right-wing movement here in America. And it's been controversial at times, but I think it's time to have a very appropriate conversation. So everybody, let's welcome Mr. Brandon Tatum. How you doing, Mr. Tatum?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. I appreciate you being here, man. So I'd like to get started by asking about your origin of how you started developing conservative ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point. You know, I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. I grew up around people who believed the Democrat Party was the only party sustainable for the black community. It wasn't until I got saved in 2008 that I started to open my mind more. And when I became a police officer, that's when I became more conservative.
Well,
looking at the policy position.
I don't think we want to listen to all this part, but let me just say, being married to a police officer, that all police officers are Republicans, like 99%. So yeah, you can't really be in law enforcement, but he wasn't really in law enforcement. He was the PR guy for the Tucson, Arizona Police Department for 5 years and a couple of months. So he was an officer, but not a police officer. He misrepresents himself, and that is criminal. especially impersonating a cop. That's an actual crime. But I think it's criminal to misrepresent your professional work history, like lying on your resume, basically. I mean, you can Google this guy and you can see what I'm talking about. Because I had heard people saying that, and I was like, what? He seems like he used to be a cop. He really does. He talks like he used to be a cop. And he worked for a police department, and he worked on the SWAT team, and, you know, he did cop stuff, but he wasn't an actual police officer ever. He's just such a liar. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Okay. Try to get to the part where it starts talking about Nolan Wells.
Look at what the Republicans believe, because I never even considered them. They were racist white people to me. Then I started looking at the platform. I went to a Trump rally.
Oh, yeah. He went to a Trump rally and had his eyes opened.
I do not agree with a lot of the things that you said.
Okay, here we go.
But in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. People can disagree. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you'd like to have. I'm allowed to have whatever opinion I'd like to have. But I'm a psychotherapist, and I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years. So I hear things through a very particular lens as a result of being a psychotherapist and the experiences I've had through those 20 years. And that has led me to want to ask you a few questions about some of this content.
He asked some really good questions. Yes, very gross. Yes, it's terrible that he misrepresents himself. And it is literally a crime to impersonate an officer. So, an officer of the law. I don't know why he doesn't get into some hot water. It's ridiculous. And he's an NFL failure. When he finished college, he was trying to get drafted. He didn't. And so he got into the police stuff, and then, you know, worked for the Tucson Police Department as the PR person. And then he dropped out of that to be an influencer and work for TP USA.
You okay with that?
100%.
Okay. Because one of the things I'd like to start with, are you familiar with the term naive reality?
I can deduce what it means, but I'm not familiar with that specific term scientifically.
Well, so I want to use the term clinically. Like some of the terms that we use, I want to use the term clinically. Perception of reality is the only objective one. So when I watch you, and particularly on like the Jubilee interview, for example, and someone gives you data, you often respond with your own subjective reality. And it made me want to ask you, what do you think of the idea of naive reality, of the idea of the concept naive reality? Now, naive reality, I don't mean to call you naive. Like, that's why I want to be clear. I'm using the clinical label. Like, that's the word that we use.
Yeah, I get it. I don't agree that I live in that reality. I think I'm pretty practical. When someone's giving me statistical data points that's unverified, I can't just run with it just because they said it. And if you look at some of the Jubilee footage, people were claiming all kind of things and they got fact checked and they were wrong. Some of the things that they said about Booker T. Washington, the guy who said he was an educator, and it lied about, flat out lied or had not as he mixed up statements from Booker T. Washington book Up from Slavery. And then he goes and says it, and I can't go and verify it on the spot. And when others bring up statistical data points from study,
I have a new nickname for Officer Race Batum. I just call him Sir Talks Out of His Ass a lot. He's really bad at having a conversation too. He does a lot of interrupting
that I haven't been able to verify. It's impossible for me to go and make an argument about something that's unverifiable. And I think that you would know in any argument that you would make or any discussion that you would have, if I come up and give something that you can't validate or verify, you either concede to it or you say, look, I object to the premise. I have education that leads me to believe certain things that's counter to things that was presented during the show. And I expressed that. I don't think that my reality is the only reality. I know a lot of people, I got a lot of friends that don't agree with me. People forget I'm still black. My whole family is black. And we don't always agree. We have spirited discussions on certain things.
His whole family's not black. He's married to a white woman. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but it's pretty weird that he said his whole family's black when he's married to a white woman.
I think my dad agreed with some of the things that I say. I think he agreed with most of it, but we have spirited discussions on this. I don't live in an echo chamber where I'm the only one that has have a reality that everybody has to bow down to. And so I just disagree, and I think it's fine for us to disagree. The problem that I do have is when people say that somehow I'm not black because we have a difference of agreement, or somehow I can't handle the truth, or I hate my own skin and I'm gonna sell out Uncle Tom bootlicker because I have a difference of opinion. In reality, a lot of black people have a difference of opinion. We're not all monolith. We are monolithic.
He doesn't know how to like go back and forth in a conversation. All he knows how to do is be domineering. So let me stay caught up with your comments. Yes, it's terrible that he misrepresents himself. I think is the last one I read out loud. And Josh says, I know I'm an officer in a mobile game team. I added the I know for some unknown reason. LOL, Josh. Well, I'm a moderator. Anna says, I was just going to say that. He doesn't let him finish his question. Yeah, he is such a Mr. Know-it-all. Even when he doesn't know and he says, I don't know, he still like continues to mansplain how he knows everything. It's kind of funny, but it's more annoying than funny. And then Big Hook is trying to offend me and it's not going to work. Sorry, not sorry. No, I'm joking because, I just said I'm married to a police officer. No offense, but all cops are asshats looking for someone to pick on every chance they get. Police are not to be trusted. I completely agree with this. This asshat is just an example of the typical cop. This case will go nowhere. So yeah, I mean, just the history of police in our country is that they were a profession invented to capture slaves, basically. And I don't think a cop worth his salt, and it's mostly men, it's very male dominated. What was it, 85%? I looked that up a couple of days ago on a live. Any cop worth his salt is going to know the implicit racism across the boards in the industry of law enforcement. If you can't reconcile that, you have no business being in the police department or being any kind of law enforcement if you don't understand the implicit race bias that is there, and it's a fact. And intelligent police officers talk about it and read about it and try to grapple with it, because it's something that you can't ever like ignore or move past. Like it's something that you always have to work with and live with. We all have internalized racism, whether we're black, white, or anything else. Just like sexism, we all have internalized sexism. Even us chicks can be sexist as hell sometimes without even realizing it, right? Like when we get into little cat fights and stuff. Anyway, Anna, that's like an officer, right? Right, Josh. Race traders are the worst, and playing up the uppity yes, master BS is typical. Oh, it's so gross. I like to say yes, sir, master bohee. Anna, I respect your authority. Respect my authority. I can't wait till the new South Park season starts up in another month? Is it September? I have to look it up. I can't wait, man. It's going to be a blast. As long as they don't all get put in jail beforehand, right? LMAO, Josh, we all have our biases. Exactly. We absolutely have our biases. And if we don't think we have our biases, then we have them even more.
In our thought process. I think Thomas Sowell has a very different perspective than other economists who are black. We go down the list, our current, and I would say one of the most honorable Supreme Court justices, Clarence Thomas. I bet him and Thurgood Marshall have a difference of opinion. I don't think either one of them are invalidated because of their opinions.
Oh my
And
God.
so that's the point that I have contention with. A lot of things that
Most
I said on there was
honorable.
based on evidence, based on research, and based on my own lived experience.
So
I think he says lived experience like 20 times in this interview. It's just like, oh my God, like use a different phrase. It's a good phrase to use once or twice in an interview. That's plenty.
you said earlier that when someone presents you with data that you can't verify, it's hard to argue with. Correct? Did I catch that right?
It's not fair to make a debate argument on unverified data because you're arguing from a false premise. So I can't concede to something that, and I haven't verified.
Oh man, the stuttering makes me know that he knows he's full of shit. Anna Bees, I love your comment. You know what? My husband used to call me Cartman. That is so funny. And I have a puppy dog I should let in so that they quit scratching the door. Remember the 3 black cops that beat that black man literally 200 yards from his mother's house and who called out her name? Yes, I do. I do. They play the superiority game, if not for the overhead cameras, nothing. I know they would have completely gotten away with that. That was insane. And I forgot about that one. Thank you for bringing that up, Big Hook. What state was that in, or what city? I'm kind of thinking Los Angeles. Wasn't it Los Angeles? One sec. Let me not knock things over. Come on, Nookie. Puppy dog. Okay. Come on, Coco. There you go. Okay. Just Coco. Hey, baby. All righty. I'm coming back into my chair. I've got stuff moved around a little bit, so it's trickier to get in and out without knocking things over. Because since I was moving stuff for the setup with the cell phone and the other, doing it the other way with the cell phone and the laptop here. Okay, so I want to keep playing this, but I don't want to play it too long because time. And I still have notes in my notebook to get to. So, yeah, was that LA? Do you remember? Here, I'm going to play this.
Because people do lie and people do tell half truths, and I haven't had a chance to evaluate the study, right? If you gave me a study and I haven't been able to look at it or verify it, how then will I give you a fair enough argument in return? So I don't want to argue something that I haven't been able to verify. And most of those individuals were just making up stuff.
So how would you be able to determine if someone is somebody that you could listen to versus not? Like, for example, I'm a very credible psychotherapist. I've been trained. I've been doing this a long time. So if I said something, and I'll just give you an irrelevant point that will be accurate, but a relevant point. If I said to you, the counseling field was created in Boston, Massachusetts by a group of individuals that wanted to help people find job placements. That's a fact. I'm going to guess you didn't know that because you're not a trained psychotherapist. Like, at what point do you say, I can listen to that?
I didn't know that. And I would argue. I think that counseling field was created in Vienna by Freud and Jung. But, there were a bunch of others too. Adler, Erik Erikson. There was one female, I forget her name. But mostly dudes. Okay, let me let the other puppy in real quick. But that's fascinating about Boston and finding jobs. I would think that's more like social work, though. 1 second. Come on, baby. All right. I got 2 of the 3 pups in. And if the other... Come here, Rookie. Okay, let's keep playing this. But yeah, that is fascinating. I missed that. I watched this earlier. I listen to my videos while I'm trying to be productive doing other stuff. So sometimes I miss parts of them. And I just have to, I have to live my life, right? I mean, it's amazing how much content I can consume in a day. But, how I do it is by staying busy with the things that I need to do. And then I have like my TV going, my laptop going, and my cell phone going, not watching things all simultaneously. That'll make me crazy. But I'm usually like scrolling on my laptop, watching a video on my television, and then Googling stuff on my cell phone so that I can like fact check what it is people are saying. And then I'm taking notes. So that's my scatterbrained creative process. But then, I have a lot of chores and responsibilities that I have to do. So stupid life gets in the way of all my YouTubing, is how I like to say it. And then like having a family and, social life. I don't worry so much about that. I mean, I worry about the family. I don't worry so much about the social life. I have a few good friends. That's all I need. Let's see. I don't think I read that one out loud. Justice is so rare these days with Trump and Blanche. This country is pretty much a lawless disaster. But you're not in this country, are you, Big Hook? And I admire you for that. I'm jealous. Yeah, Blanche is a freaking train wreck, as is the other guy. They're just unacceptable, incorrigible. Red rum rate in the US is 6 out of every 100,000. Canada is 1 out of 100,000. Well, and you guys don't have all the stupid firearms that we have, right? I mean, you're much smarter about that. But yeah, people aren't so violent up there because they're cold. I'm just kidding. It's too cold to commit crimes. I mean, but in a sense, there is a correlation with the heat and the summers when a lot of crimes are committed in like the super hot weather inner city. That's like the highest crime. The heat will make you crazy. I mean, look at all those people in Florida, man. And then, Mississippi is close to Florida, so it's almost as hot down there. But seriously, Florida is where they go insane because the heat, you just can't even think. Yes, Freud and Erikson. Yes, I love Erik Erikson. And, Freud, I actually like some things about him. But yeah, I'm huge on Carl Jung and Alfred Adler. I think that's his first name, Alfred Adler. He's one of my favorites. He is like the opposite of Freud. He didn't care if he got famous. He just wanted his ideas to take off because he knew that they were good for humanity. Freud didn't care if his ideas were good for humanity. He just wanted to be famous. And they both got what they wanted. So most people have never heard of Adler. U.S. is deemed an unsafe country to visit now. Well, it's unsafe for everybody, including those of us that live here. Yeah, they want to put us all in those damn concentration camps, those ICE detention centers. Yes, Big Hook. U.S. has a violence and mental health problem. Yeah.
That data point, even though that's the first person I've heard say that data point, I don't have to go fact check it. I can listen to that data point.
Yeah, so just when it comes to you, I think you may be credible, but I think you are biased. And the reason I say that is because of some of the critiques you've had of me in previous videos without even meeting me or knowing me or interviewing me. You made some suggestions about who I was, and I thought...
Let me just say, we're all biased. There's not a human alive that's not biased. Come on, idiot.
Unfair. However, if you make a statement of fact, I don't have a reason to believe that it's different because I don't have any basis to argue it. Like, for instance, you gave me that statistical data point, or not data point, but you gave me that factual reality. I have not read or heard or have any reason to doubt what you said. Now, if you said that counseling and therapy was generated to make sure Black people will never make it in life, then we're going to have an argument about it or a conversation about it, because that does not seem to be practical in reality. And
what is he talking about? That doesn't even make sense. OMG. Could he have said anything any stupider than that? Has anybody ever said anything stupider than that? I don't want to rewind it. It's too much. It's senseless. Like, I think he just is like in over his head. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's talking to a guy who's a lot smarter than him, and it's flipping his shit out. That was my gist of the conversation overall.
Never heard it, and I never heard anybody argue that. So I may push back on it. That doesn't mean that you can't prove me wrong. It's just that some things I may push back if it sounds nonsensical or not rooted in reality.
But see, that's where I think the term naive reality fits here, because I might say something like, and I'll go with your example. I might say the field of therapy and counseling was created to hold Black people back. And you might say, that seems nonsensical to me, without acknowledging my expertise for being in that space. Like, I am in a position to say that as a fact, even if it seems contrarian to what you would have thought.
Well, Elliot, think about this. I'm a former police officer. I did the job for many years. I'm very proficient at what I did. Many commendations. You can go down, so on and so forth. You can ask anybody who ever worked with me. I was a very good police officer. Just because I'm a police.
Which is so funny for him to say this, since he was never a police officer. Like I said, you can Google it. It's not just me spouting off. I encourage anybody to look it up. But let me address your last couple of comments. Big Hook says, you guys are the biggest idiots when it comes to your arguments over rights and interpretation of the Constitution via your effing conservative a-hole justices. Accountability is literally nowhere. Yeah, our country's in a tailspin right now. Absolutely. And I think it's very frightening for most level-headed people in our country that are paying attention, and I think it's really frightening for the rest of the world too, because we're supposed to be leaders in the democracy thing, right? There's some really good people, like Senator Whitehouse, for instance. Just one person like Sheldon Whitehouse gives me so much hope, because he's really smart and he's on top of things and he's working hard. And he puts in the blood, sweat, and tears every day as a senator, as a really good human. And I know that there's others like him too, like Jamie Raskin and, AOC and Bernie. But Whitehouse is one of my freaking favorites. So I agree with you. Anna Bees agrees with you. And then Josh says, what's weird is that talking about stuff like Nolan Wells is almost a break from the BS going on with this administration country. 100%, Josh. It's been saving me, because I have such a passion for true crime. And then I have been so passionate about the politics this whole last, I guess we're coming up on 2 years now. I've always kind of stayed out of politics, and, it is just exhausting at this point. It's just mind numbing. It just gets stupider and stupider and stupider every day. And I just can't believe the cartoon that the administration is, and just the shit on a stick that this whole freaking democracy has become. It's depressing as fuck. So Big Hook says, this case was because whoever unalived Nolan thought there would not be any consequences. Unfortunately, this is a common thread in the minds of many across the country. Serial unalivers run amok. Right. And because they were probably, their families were probably in on this huge Confederate conspiracy to celebrate the 4th of July. I mean, that was kind of what some of us have been wondering all along, thinking that it was a stretch. And then Warren kind of said it in that interview that Tatum dropped yesterday, when he said, we started planning this 4th of July the day after last 4th of July. It's like, why the F would you be planning for a whole year to go on a boat and do some fireworks? That doesn't take 12 months of planning. Like, he totally let the freaking cat out of the bag. Yeah, Whitehouse and Raskin are fire, aren't they? I love them. Whitehouse has been killing it. He's on the Kennedy Center board, and we don't even want to talk about the Kennedy Center. Oh man, that's insanity. Economic despair makes this shit happen all the time. what happened last 4th of July. Well, I don't know. It's a good question, Annabise. I just thought that it meant that as soon as the 4th of July happened, they were planning out this year's 4th of July, which they're trying to say they do the same thing every year. They go out to Horn Island. And yeah, it could have been. I heard one person say this, and I've kind of thought this once or twice too, that maybe they were going to try to do a hat trick on the 4th of July with Tristan and Javon. Am I saying his name right? I always screw it up. Javon. And Nolan, that they were going to try to get all three of them on the same day. So maybe, I don't know. I heard somebody say that in the last couple of days, and I thought it was interesting because I've kind of wondered at times, but I haven't really, there hasn't been any evidence to lead me to believe that they were going to try to harm more than one of them, but definitely that they had plotted out to do something to one. And I figured that it was Nolan, but that maybe the others were like backup or something. But I don't know. Maybe none of it was plotted. It was all just a big misadventure, right? I would look into any Black people disappearing. And yeah, Annabise. And yeah, if it's like homeless Black people, they're not going to be reported if they would abduct a homeless Black person and take them out there to Horn Island for some disgusting crap. Last year and years past, yeah. Josh says, well, they are pretty stupid, so it might have taken a year to plan. Just to plan fireworks, you mean? Yeah, we could look into it. Okay.
Police officer don't mean that everything I say pertaining to law enforcement is correct. It doesn't mean that everything, that you have to accept it as being correct. Maybe I'm wrong about
what? Just because you're a police officer, you're not always correct? But you seem to act like you think because you call yourself an officer when you never were an actual policeman that you try to make everybody think you're correct about everything. So I don't understand, Tatum.
some things. I'm open to that. But just because I have credentials in the field, it doesn't mean that you have to concede to everything that I say.
He also does not have any credentials in the field. He used to 9 years ago. He does not have credentials in the field. That's hilarious that I forgot that he said that. I caught that earlier and I didn't really catch it, if you know what I mean.
And so I think that if I say something to you that you think is invalid or you don't think is rooted in factual reality or that you have contrary facts, it's okay to challenge me on it. And I don't think that you should just go off for everything I say at face value. And I'm not going to go off everything you say at face value if it contradicts what my lived experiences are and my research have shown. And then we have a debate on that. You know, like when it comes to policing in America. I mean, there's Harvard.
Again, with the lived experience, he's so nervous talking to this man that he knows is way more than twice as smart as him. He's in way over his head. So he starts talking about Harvard.
Research that have been done that determined very clearly by a Black man who is now alienated. I forget his name. We can look it up. But, you know, he made a very distinct finding that there is no bias in policing against Black people disproportionately. And that person was shunned. He was Harvard educated, one of the most intelligent. Well,
if he went to Harvard, then he has to be right. I mean, Hegsbreth went to Harvard and he's right about everything.
Man, that's not even a conservative. And when he makes statements like that, coupled with my lived experience as a police officer, I began to realize, well, maybe, just maybe, people are projecting a reality on law enforcement that's not necessarily true because of their own biases. So you have statistical data and research that contradicts some of the research that the gentleman presented to me on Jubilee. I think his name was Ronald Fryer. I think it's Ronald Fryer. I think his name is. But anyway, people can look that up if they want.
But see, that's the interesting thing, which is why I'm so interested in talking to you about these points, because
conflict is gonna find you. Say nothing and stay safe. Or say something.
Conflict always finds me.
when you say those kinds of things, like there's a Harvard researcher that says X, Y, or Z. I'm going to be very honest with you. I did a year, because you're familiar with this area. I did a year working with and training and riding out with the Arlington Police Department as a clinician, teaching them how to talk to, you're probably familiar with the Victims Assistance Unit. So teaching them how to talk to victims of violence crime. I did all of those experiences. I'm very aware with certain research, and I'm very aware with police biases. If I present information to you, there's something about you that holds on to your already held idea.
Not really. I mean, let's do it. We'll do a point now. I mean, what did you observe when you were on the ride along? Did you observe racial biases that
not only did I observe it, but the police, one of the things that I really enjoyed about the Arlington Police Department was the Arlington Police Department is one of the only police departments in the state of Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe there were three at the time. I don't know what there is now. But it's one of the only police departments in this area that required a bachelor's degree. So we would have very, very intellectual conversations. And not only did I observe it, I observed police officers calling each other out on it, and I observed police officers acknowledging it and addressing it.
And acknowledging racial bias in policing?
Yeah, racial bias in policing. Can you imagine such a thing? Most police departments do not require any degree at all, just the police academy, which is maybe 4 months long, which is sad because I think that there should be more education, bachelor's degree. Let me get my power cord. I didn't expect to be on for 2 hours, and so my battery was full, but it's getting low, so I'm gonna have to leave the room to grab it real quick. Sorry, I did not plan well. 1 second. See, I forget that when you're on live, it sucks a lot more juice a lot faster than when you're just using your computer. So I'm getting it plugged in, and I'll be back on screen in no time. Let's see. I just want to put this where it won't fall, the cord. Okay. All set. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't thinking I'd be on this long, but once I get on, it's so fun keeping up with your comments and then getting to the notes and then doing this, and it takes a lot of time. But it's time well spent, in my opinion. It helps me clarify what it is I'm thinking and consuming and learning. And that's really what it's all about to me, is the learning and the community, the connecting is very important. It's an element of this YouTubing that I was surprised with. I had no idea that would be a part of it when I started the community building. All of us from the Squirrel Squad, that was the bomb, huh? With Shan's lives. So we have our own little Justice Warrior crew here last year and past years. Okay. I love that, Josh. Pretty stupid. So it might have taken a year to plan. 70% of all Americans check from being rendered homeless, or an unplanned $300 expense could ruin you. Yeah, times are so tight, especially right now with the price of gas and the price of food and freaking tariffs and everything. It's insanity. Another black-white apologist. You nailed it, Big Hook, right there. It took me a minute. I'm like, that took a second to register. I love it. Another black-white apologist. That's funny. OMG, that's ridiculous. I think Anna Bees is getting a kick out of it too. Another feared for my life and emptied my lip cup. Yep. Yeah. It's terrible. Well, and the way they'll jump in front of somebody's car to try to pretend like they were at fear of getting hit, like the guy who shot Renee Good. You know, he freaking leapt in front of her car, and then she was trying to avoid him, and he shot her right in the face 3 times. And man, when those videos came out, and he's still not in jail. On ride-alongs, of course, they're on their best behavior. Good point, Big Hook. Really good point. I hadn't really thought about that. Seems to be an ongoing trend. And the thing is, a good cop is going to be on their best behavior all the time because they know that they're held to a higher standard and that they're going to be criticized a lot and that they're public servants. So they should be criticized a lot and they should have thick skin and they should be able to take it. You know, just like when you're a politician or when you're on YouTube, you know, you got to be able to take the criticism. I mean, you have no business. You can't put yourself out there and then not take criticism. It just doesn't work that way. Seems to be an ongoing trend. He straight up said on this interview that he was a police officer. I know. He's a bald-faced liar. I mean, it's one thing to say that he was an officer for a police department because he was a public relations officer for a police department, but he was never a commissioned officer. As far as I know. And that's the word on the street, but that's what the Google says too. I mean, being a SWAT team officer is not being a police officer. I mean, that's very different. And, you know, teaching any type of training in law enforcement, that's not being a law enforcement officer. If you're like teaching one special skill, you know, whether it's ballistics or racial sensitivity or, you know, victim protection or whatever. That's not being a police officer, just being able to talk on those things and being able to teach on those things. I mean, you can be a police officer and be able to talk on those things and teach on those things, but he wasn't the police officer. He was the public relations officer for a police department. And yeah, he's a fucking liar. I'm so sick of it, especially with this case, because this is such an important case. But all of his stupidity and screwing with it, he's screwing it up for the bad guys. So I say just let him hang himself and hang them out to dry, because that's what he's doing. It's my fault you always blame us Canucks when shit goes sideways. I love that. I know. There's that song, Blame Canada. I don't know if that's a real song or if it's just from my Kids in the Hall skit, but that's the song, Blame Canada. Yeah, Big Hook, most of us are broke. Most cops were picked on in high school or in school, so they get a badge to bully everyone. My husband said that to me, and I agree. Yeah, I could agree with that. Also, badges are like chick magnets. The uniforms are chick magnets. So, you know, it helps a lot with the ladies. If you had trouble with the ladies, just get a uniform and a badge and you'll be good to go. And if you were already a heartthrob, then you better watch out, because, you know, Officer Hottie is always being asked to take it off, right? No, you don't say I work for the police department. No, you say I work for the police department. I know some people are so modest, they'll say I work for the police department. And then, I mean, seriously, there's people that are like that. I had a friend who told me she worked in an orthodontist's office. And I was like, oh, really? Are you a hygienist? And she was like, no, I'm an orthodontist. I thought it was so cute and humble of her. I knew her from volleyball in Seattle. She's like, yeah, I work in an orthodontist office. I'm like, oh, do you do the accounting or are you a hygienist? She's like, I do the orthodontistry stuff. But I love people like that, right? There was somebody else who was like that. I'm trying to think that was like really high up in something. And they were just like, yeah, I just work for whatever. And then it's just like, like I just work for the royal family, but you're the queen or you're the king. Well, no, I just work for the royal family. And yeah, as that position, I mean, seriously, when you're a public servant, you're a public servant. Or whatever it is that you do, I mean, it's just silly for people to be so uppity. Civil rights attorney auditor has so many videos of police corruption. Yeah. Well, see, I was really disappointed when I found out how corrupt police were, because I honestly didn't know until my husband became a police officer. I thought that it was just like that there were just bad departments and that there were just bad officers. And it's like, I hate to say it, but I don't know that there's many good departments. I know that there's a lot of good officers, but I don't know that there's a lot of good departments. So, your Canuck neighbors are going to go be sunbirds elsewhere. Florida is a no-go state now, and most are selling their property. Oh, I know. Canada has hit our economy hard, and we deserve it. So go Canada. Seriously. I mean, Trumpster Fire has been such an ass to Canada. It's ridiculous. I mean, it did make for a lot of good comedy, though. You got to admit that part, right? Firemen are so hot. Yeah, they are. Firefighters are hot. I'm thinking like Marines. Marines are usually the most buff. Yeah. What other uniforms? Just the whole officer and a gentleman thing. Costa Rica and Mexico now get our business. Well, careful. You got like the guerrilla warfare and the cars that don't tell. And seriously, it could be so dangerous. But unfortunately, with ICE in our country, I would say that is possibly a better bet for safety. Absolutely. Because Trumpster Fire is insane. He is insane and unpredictable. So nobody needs to put up with this crap. I mean, we have to because we live here. But the way I look at it is it's my country. I'm not going to leave and let some mofo destroy it. And also that him being a pain in my ass, he'd still be a pain in my ass if I lived somewhere else. Because all I know is being an American. So even if I went to another country, I'd still be an American, right? I say work in healthcare. Politics girl is a Canuck. Oh, I did not know this. A lot of the best musicians and artists are Canucks, huh? I mean, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Mike Meyer, the comedian from SNL. Yeah, the Canucks are brilliant. Brilliant, I tell you. We send our best to fix your mess. That's cute. I like it. It's a good rhyme. You should be a rapper. She's really good. Big Hook. Yeah, politics girl. I had no idea she was Canadian. Does she still live in Canada or she live in DC or something? I don't know. I don't watch her a lot, but I do like her a lot. Yes, I'm glad you're all still getting your goods. The smart U.S. healthcare workers are being accepted in Canada and are much happier to not have to navigate your effed up insurance nightmare. Wow, I never thought about that as a mental health professional. Maybe that's what I should do. Okay, let's watch a little bit more of this.
100%, yes.
And can you give me an example of when you were on a ride along that this occurred? And what was the scenario?
I can absolutely give you an example. Are you familiar with
also, I would love for you to do this, and we can do it offline. If you can give me the police officer that you rode along with, because I would love to communicate with that person, because I have never had a conversation with a cop that have made mention of some of that he witnessed or was involved in racial bias on the police department while having a ride along. But
no.
Okay.
Before I do that,
he just proved that he's never been a cop, right?
doing the thing that we would judge clinically that I'm talking about right now. This thing that we're talking about, this night. Hold on, I'm gonna
present it to me. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
No, I got you. I'm gonna explain exactly what I mean in a minute. That's why I'm happy to do this.
But Alex, is it unfair for me to say I have never heard of this? Can you please give me the example that you presented? I never said you were wrong. I just said I want to hear the example.
Oh my God, he's so stupid.
Explain the concept, and then I'm going to 100% respond to your question.
Okay.
Because the concept, right? This idea that we're talking about here, this reality thing, this naive reality, it's usually held by people that are in authoritarian positions, that their identity is attached to their position, and they're getting social rewards for holding that position. When that happens, hold on, I'm going to make this point, and then I'm going to respond to you. When that happens, your brain, not you, Brandon, but the human brain, experiences a threat. They experience the conflict to my previously held idea, not as a new idea. They experience that new idea as an existential threat. Because if I accept that thing to be true, then a lot of my other arguments fall apart.
But Elliot, can I interject? I think you're alluding that this is me. I don't have an attachment. I'm not a police officer anymore.
No,
I thought he was about to admit it. I'm not a police officer. I never have been. Okay, some really good comments here. Politics girl married an American and lives in California. Anna B says he gets all confrontational. And then Big Hook picks up with, she pays over $4,000 monthly for the health care she needs because she suffers from a rare lung problem. Well, and if she's living in Los Angeles, that pollution there is not going to be helpful. I mean, I love LA and I love California, but the pollution in LA is god awful.
I don't have an attachment. If a cop is wrong, they wrong. It doesn't hurt me if a cop is wrong and go to jail for racial biases. Me and you can go to the police department together.
Go to jail for racial biases? He really has no idea what he's talking about. Wow. This is gobsmacking. Police officer go to jail for racial biases. No habla inglés?
And let's fight against racist cops doing things they ain't supposed to do. I'm with you on that, brother. We can do it together.
I would gladly march into any police department you wanted to and hold them accountable. I'm not saying
this cop that you had the experience with needs to be held accountable.
Oh my God.
Get to that in a second. But what you're not doing, which in my opinion clinically fits with this idea of naive reality, is you are saying things like, I've been a cop for 6 years or however many years you said. I've been a cop for several years, whatever it was. I have never seen or heard about racial bias showing up in policing. When there is a significant documented
what you're saying, I'm telling
you
what my experience is, and you said you have an example of this. I just want you to present the example to me. I'm not saying that it don't exist. I told you what my experiences are, and you have an experience different than mine, and I'm asking you to present the experience to me so I can learn.
So that I can lie.
I want to see.
Wow. Oh, go ahead, Coco. Go ahead, baby. Can you get out? 1 second. Let me help you. Oh, you got it. Okay.
What happens to your ability to digest this reality?
Okay.
Are you familiar? So I remember one of the officers' name, actually, even though this was like 20, this was the very beginning of my career. This was about 20 years ago, but I remember one of the officers' names because he ended up getting very famous doing something else. So are you familiar with the name? No. Are you familiar with the name Ronnie Coleman?
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman, bodybuilder.
Bodybuilder. The greatest bodybuilder of all time. I'm familiar with him as a bodybuilder, but I met him as a police officer. Did you know he was a police officer at the Arlington Police Department?
Yes.
I was doing a ride along with a veteran police officer, and we had to go. So my job was to go with the police on scene when there was a violent potential crime, which is a violent crime scene anywhere. And most people don't know this, so I'll go ahead and say this. About 90 to 95% of police calls are domestic violence. So it was just constant violent domestic violence. This one particular call was somebody took their life. And we had to go talk to the people that were in the setting where it happened. I was with a veteran police officer, white guy, when we went out and did it. When we got onto the scene, there was a newer rookie white guy, police officer, that was talking very, very aggressively and disrespectfully to kids in the area who happened to be all black.
Well, wait a minute. Do you think that he was talking to them because they were black, or they just happened to be black?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
When we showed up, the veteran white police officer and myself showed up. He reprimanded this officer and talked to him about, you were only talking to those kids in that way due to your own biases. And they had a lengthy conversation about it. The very next day, when they had the roll call at the police department, they involved Ronnie Coleman. Those of you who might be listening who don't know Ronnie Coleman is black. They involved Ronnie Coleman, and they all had a conversation with this officer, who then acknowledged that his previous experiences have caused a bias to lead to him conversating with those kids in that way. So that is a clear, concrete example where it happened. The very thing you're saying doesn't happen.
No, I didn't say it does not happen. I said I have never had the experience with somebody telling me that or experiencing it myself. It can't happen. Now here's the thing. This will probably shock your mind.
He just talks too much. He takes up way too much of the airtime because he doesn't have very much to say. Or he has a lot of words to come out of his mouth. He just doesn't have a lot of good ideas to get across. But I'm going to keep up with your LA pollution is the worst. Yeah, it's sad, especially since it's right on the coast and it has the opportunity to get completely cleared out by the Pacific Ocean like 24/7, 365, but it's just pumping out too much to keep up. F this guy, when confronted with facts, he can't run away fast enough with BS explanations. I know, it's great, isn't it? It hurts your brain. He's hard to listen to. He's painful to watch. It's funny because when I was watching it earlier, like I said, I was like half watching it and it was more painful. Like now that I'm paying closer attention, it's actually less painful. It's funny. It's like comic. It's awful though, isn't it? So sorry to hurt your ears with it. Yeah, we'll wrap this part up in a minute too. Like we're going on over 2 hours already, and we're just like halfway through this 1 hour thing. So, and we haven't listened to the whole thing. I skipped some parts. Oh, for sure. Big Hook. Now he's reversing. Annabee says he went into law enforcement for power, money, influence, and lack of accountability with a pension. You are 100,000% correct, Big Hook. You're right on the money there. He left because he knew too many eyes were on him. He essentially became a Fox News expert. Well, I wonder, what usually happens is people get offered the opportunity to resign in lieu of being fired. So he did not last long. 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years. That's not long to, any shitty officer that I've ever seen can make it 5 years. But yeah, they run for the hills when all of the trouble that they've caused piles up on them and they can't run fast enough. And they never come back. They never turn back. I mean, the bad cops that are like that. I knew one who got arrested for being like a PDF. Like he was from this part of Ohio and he got arrested in Toledo up north. Northwest Ohio for PDF. And he called my husband to try to get some sympathy. And my husband, I can't remember if he never returned his call or if he hung up on him or what, but it was just like, are you kidding me? I think he like sent him a text and said, yeah, I'll explain it to you or something. My husband's like, no, you won't. Ain't got time for that. I mean, it's atrocious. It's disgusting. And he wasn't even one of the worst ones. That makes it even worse. But yeah, most of them get into it for power. Absolutely. And the power is just intoxicating. He's such a gaslighter. Yeah, he is like king gaslighter. That's a very astute observation, Annabes. He saw what eventually happened to Denzel at the end of that movie and decided to relocate Training Day. That's a good one, Big Hook. I love it. That's great. All the worst cops move to Idaho. Do they? I mean, that's what Mark Furman did. And he's definitely one of the worst. 5 years is not long anywhere. Furman from the OJ trial, Point, Idaho. I actually read his book, which surprised me that I would pick it up and read it. I can't remember what possessed me to read it. I guess just because it was the Martha Moxley book. But then I read his OJ book because he's actually a good writer. And I kind of got like a little convoluted into his, I kind of got sucked into his convolution, but then I got right back out again. But yeah, he's a smooth talker, and I like what he did with the Martha Moxley case, and he used his fame. I mean, it was like the opposite of fame, his infamy. He used his infamy to get a foot in the door with the Martha Moxley case, and he did a lot of good work with that. That case from 1975 that the Kennedy family was involved in, that 15-year-old girl that was unalived in her front yard by the next door neighbor, Michael Skakel. So I do appreciate that from Mark Furman, but he was a monster in the OJ trial. He completely destroyed that for the entire world. And then he moves to Sandpoint, Idaho, and he tries to mansplain that he didn't move there because he's white supremacist. He moved there because Sandpoint's so pretty. It's like, yeah, all the white people, so pretty. Denzel Training Day, great movie. Yeah, Denzel's awesome. Okay, this is funny, isn't it? This is like comedy.
I don't think that policing is without fault. I know that there's people who are on the police department that are racist. I've never experienced it. I know there's people who are insensitive to race. I know that there's people who are dirtbags. I work with some of them that were dirtbags and they got fired, and nobody hates them more than
he is a dirtbag. Okay, I got to quit interrupting.
The police officer. So I'm not here telling you that there's no such thing as racism. I'm just saying it's so infrequent that I have never experienced it. But you have reprimanded by another white officer, and his behavior changed. So what that tells me,
I didn't say his behavior changed. I did not say his behavior changed.
Well, if his behavior didn't change, then he shouldn't be a police officer anymore, correct?
He might not be.
No, for a year. Well, we need to find out, because if somehow he was. See, here's the thing that I think is pertinent to digest as well.
Okay, we're getting rid of all the racist cops, so there's not going to be any more cops, right? Okay. Oh my God, he's so funny. Outside of some of the cops who caught the worst California serial unalivers, the rest are awfully bad. Rodney King video, anyone? That was the worst. The Rodney King video. And see, I've been bringing that up recently because the LA riots were a direct result of the Rodney King bullshit trial. And I kind of think the same type of thing could happen with Nolan Wells. If I don't want things to go sideways like that, I want Nolan Wells to get justice. And then if it goes sideways, we don't need Mississippi riots and, the perfect opportunity for the whole Trumpster fire fantasy of the, I think of what our war was called, the war that they keep trying to start. What's that term? My brain is really falling apart. The war that they keep trying to start with the, I want to say like the Confederate War, but the North against the South. That one. Help me out, you guys. Come on. I could Google it, but you guys could get there faster than me. I think Utah should be Idaho and Wyoming. Idaho to go with Idaho. That's cute. Josh sees you are on it. But yeah, the what is the war that they keep trying to start in our country? The Americans fighting against the Americans. What's the name of that war that we had where so many died? Like more than all. I mean, I'm being completely brain locked right now. A race war. Right. But just like the one that we had, what was it called? Oh my God. It's so funny. Do I need to Google it real quick? Yeah, that one. Diana Peace, thank you. You nailed it. The Civil War. Okay. But isn't there another name for it too? Just a civil war. But yeah, that's what they're trying to start, is a civil war. And a riot like the LA riots down in Mississippi with, like when I was saying there needs to be a peaceful protest and you were expressing concern the other night. Because, yeah, they would love to use it as an excuse to create race riots and another. They've been dying to start the Civil War. They've been trying with the Charlie Kirk thing and trying with the ICE thing and just trying, I don't think people will go for it. I don't think Americans are going to be baited like that. I think that, they could still pull some other crap, but anyway, let's see. We need to find out, LOL, 20 years later. I know we need to get this one guy because that's not allowed. and we know that there's none others like that anywhere. Oh my God, what a freaking moron. And this guy, Elliot Connie, is so polite putting up with this stupidity, man. He does a good job of holding himself together and not just like reaching through the Zoom camera and wringing the guy's neck. Let's go find this one racist cop in the country. Let me at him. Health race war. Oh, Josh, yes, a race war. Yes, Civil War. That's the word I'm trying to think of. It's hilarious. My brain just couldn't create it. One of many or all of them. My husband was in LA when the riots started after Rodney King. That's so scary. OMG. He was a truck driver. That's even scarier. Yeah, and I did not read that one comment out loud. I don't think that was like one of the most important ones here that Big Hook said. No cops charged in the Rodney King trial. Sorry, I read that, but not out loud. And that is, like I said, I think the most important one on the screen right now. Not playing favoritism, but yeah, no cops arrested or found guilty in that trial. That was so scary. And I think that's why they let OJ off the hook, because they were afraid of having another race riot. That's my opinion. Sorry, but cops retire early because they see the worst of society all day long and see nothing being done to fix it, asked to do too many jobs without any tools or training. Well, I think that that's a possibility. I mean, I'm not trying to like brag and say my husband's the best because, he's human, but he really likes his job and he really likes having a lot of tools, so to speak, in his tool bag, and he does a lot of training. he keeps up with a lot of training. So, I mean, that's important. And he likes to read, and he has a bachelor's degree, and he's a scientist. And so, and he likes helping people, you know. He sees police work as like 95% being a social worker, and then 5% like violent crime. You know, but also that's like where you work. Like if you work in downtown Columbus, probably not 95% social work, probably like 95% violent crime and 5% social work. I don't know. He was right there, and people trying to get in their trucks. Oh my God, Anna Bees, I'm so sorry, but they got out there and were safe. Brains over brawn is always the best solution in law enforcement. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you have to know how to control a situation and be, you know, if you're a dick, you're just going to escalate the situation, and the whole trick of the trade is the de-escalation. That's what it's all about.
Person can have an opinion about the way you treat another person and project that it's race related, and when it's not. He said that he felt his previous behaviors were wrong in the way he treated the young people, correct? When Ronnie Coleman showed up to the meeting. So that means that he acknowledged he was wrong.
Okay, wait, this is a situation that Elliot Connie was telling Brendan Tatum about. Brendan Tatum didn't know anything about it, but now he's explaining it. He's mansplaining it back to Elliot. What a weirdo. He's just so stupid, man. He's just a twisted piece of crap. Okay, there's been determined. I think we can quit watching now. No, we'll watch just for a couple more minutes. Well, that's awesome that he's training people from his perspective. Yeah, the younger cops really like him. They call him on his days off a lot. Too much. But he likes to what a douche. Sorry, I said it.
Called him out when he saw it happen. That means that if his behavior continues that way, he should not be a police officer anymore.
I agree with you.
What I'm saying is that you're showing me and you explain to me a check and balance that happened in real time, meaning that
Correct.
Unchecked behavior is not something that's prevalent. If most officers do not partake in racial biases towards people, it makes officers sick to their stomach, and they hate it with a passion. So therefore, when you see an officer,
that's great. He can speak for all officers after being a PR officer for 5 years, like 10 years ago. Man, he's so smart.
Other officer do something incorrect to people in the community, they will get on there fast, and it happens. And what I'm telling you is that you can say that there's things that occur. I agree with you, but that you just showed me an example of how most officers are unaccepting to stuff like that. Racial bias in policing is unacceptable to most officers.
Okay, I want to be very, very clear about this point. After I presented you a concrete example, you softened your position, which is fine.
I didn't soften my position. I never had a position that somehow you were wrong.
Okay, fine. We can go back and watch the replay. But my follow-up question to this is, I am one person with my own subjective experience. You asked me to give you a concrete example. I gave you one. You have your own subjective experience where you're saying, I was a police officer for this amount of time. I never saw it. And then you're making a very bold claim saying, I think most officers are disgusted by this and most officers are good officers. And like, what would someone have to present to you to say, wow, racial bias in policing is actually a bigger issue than I previously thought? Because there is data to that end.
I'm telling you, I'm not saying that racial bias is not in policing. We've already
No. I said a major problem.
Okay. Now, at the same time that I'm like, okay, enough of this, I'm like, it's just getting good. Wow. Okay, we're like getting his number, aren't we? We're getting inside the mind of Brandon Tatum. Not a happy place to be. He's a very fearful guy. He's very scared of everything, especially Elliot, who has a brain and is just like mopping up the floor with his. And he's so polite about it too. What a nice gentleman this Elliot Connie is. Like I said, I've seen him on like as a guest on a lot of news shows. He's really smart. He's really good. This interview is kicking some butt. I kind of feel like we should watch a little bit more. What do you guys think? Let me stay caught up with you. The problem is the cops are given a mission of punishment for monetary and extrajudicial power for the freaks who love to ruin lives. Yeah, I'm going to reread that. The problem is that the cops are given a mission of punishment for monetary and extrajudicial power for the freaks who love to ruin lives. Yeah, some of them absolutely love it. That's their goal every day. Judges are not impartial and they cover for the criminals under their protection of the so-called justice system. Oh, I completely agree. I worked in the courts. Judges are not impartial at all. Like the long arm of the law is a real thing. Absolutely. I can tell that he probably had to resign from the police department because of sexual misconduct. Anna Bees, you are so brilliant and I trust you and I believe you. I wouldn't have picked up on that, but I had kind of had like almost like a supernatural vision that he was like having sex with people in his car. Like a lot of cops do that, you know, like whether it's coworkers or civilians. Remember, that was a lot of what was going on at Washington State University and Pullman when that Idaho 4 case was happening. That was all coming to light in Pullman and with the university cops and with the city cops. But that's a problem to a much smaller degree, I think, in any department. You're always going to have those guys. So they might try to find people that are in trouble legally, and then you know, like the situation in Kentucky with that sheriff that shot the judge, and there was like that whole scheme that the whole department was exploiting the women in the prison system and on parole and all of that. But yeah, you probably nailed it. I was thinking more like bribes. That was what I figured, was that he took bribes, because that's always a thing too. Always a thing to look out for. Or they just become mobsters. You know, they rough people up and tell them that they need to give them, you know, the money for their own safety. Little side hustle, right? Everyone needs a little side hustle. Oh, I've never seen him before, but he's doing great. I like this interviewer. Yeah, he's really good. He's just a really smart man. He's quite a gentleman. Most cops are paid better than teachers that need 6 years of college. Absolutely. Yeah. My husband's a cop. My sister's a teacher. 100%. 100%. Big Hook says, okay, Invisalign time. Good night. It's been fun, but I have things to do to finish my night. Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for hanging and all your great comments. So yeah, let's try to wrap this up. We're at 2.5 hours, so a little bit more.
When you say major, to me, that means that a person that have served in the police department, you've done a few ride-alongs. I've done thousands because I was a cop in the car. I dealt with people on a daily basis. I'm talking about hundreds of arrests, thousands of traffic stops, and you name it. I've had so much experience, and I know a lot of officers. And I'm telling
Liar.
you that with my experience personally, plus officers that I've talked to, it does not appear that racial bias is prevalent. You, as a clinician, just gave an example, and the example you chose was that you encountered a rookie officer who doesn't have a lot of experience getting chastised by another officer who were both white because he was inappropriate in the way he treated young black men or young black kids on a call.
Kids.
So I'm telling you my experience, and even in your experience, it validates what I'm saying. It's so not prevalent that you can't even witness it happen without somebody checking them over it. And therefore,
that's not what I said. You asked me for one example. I gave you an example.
But the example you gave me, to me, I'm assuming that you would give me a pretty prominent, egregious example. But even an example that you gave me, you're alluding to the fact that he was chastised by another senior officer who was white, not a black man.
He was called out for sure. He was called out by a white man.
And that's why I'm saying most cops are not in the business of being racist.
Oh my God. The way this guy uses his hands, and didn't I say it last night? It's almost like the Trumpster Fire's accordion hands, but the way he's holding his hands right now, it looks like he's grabbing somebody's chest, but it's really him like trying to control. Yeah, he's really lost this battle, and he's just not willing to surrender. The intellectual battle.
Officers doing things they shouldn't do. Majority of the cops will call people out on this. It's not acceptable in policing for you to be racist towards people. It's not acceptable. Now, there are people that do it, but that's not acceptable. It's not like your chief is going to watch you do some racist and go, yeah, that's totally fine. No, the community is not accepting it. Other black officers won't accept it, and good white officers will not accept it in policing. So it's rare.
But here's my statement.
That couldn't be further from the truth. Oh my God.
According to data, according to research, it's not rare. I can give you
research that I just explained to you from Fryer, from Harvard, a Harvard professor who did a research document and posted that his findings, and they didn't even want him to present his findings, and they hated him over it, that his findings were that there is no biases when you look at the numbers against blacks in policing.
I'm going to post, when we post this video, I'm going to post more research. And my question to you is, will you observe and attend to research that is not a part of your or my subjective experiance?
100%. I wrote a book on this stuff. Let me give you a couple examples. Do you think that...
No.
Derek Chauvin... Okay.
I want to hear your...
Oh, wait. He said Derek Chauvin. Is he going to talk about what a perfect gentleman Derek Chauvin is? Probably. I mean, look what he said about Clarence Thomas. Yes, controlling mannerisms, Annabee says, and Big Hook says, cops and bullies never apologize. That's true. Roy Cohn, tactic used by cops and the Trumpster Fire. Right. The, always on the offense, never admit to anything, always declare victory even when you've lost. Yep.
Simple. I mean, I want to hear your response clearly. Will you accept data that is beyond just subjective experience and is developed by people that research this?
I just told you that the Harvard professor had his data. I accept all data. Okay, but I'm articulating to you that there's counter data to saying that there's implicit bias in policing to a large degree.
Counter data.
Racism against blacks. I just showed you there's counter data. I accept everybody's data.
But why are you giving more weight?
He just showed the counter data. Did you not see his invisible counter data? Right at the same time that Annabee says, this one Harvard professor, who is he? We want to talk to that Harvard professor.
Why are you giving this speaks to the very bias I'm talking about? You're giving more weight to this study versus the contrarian idea.
No. There's a study, right, that I observed. There's two studies. There's the pro and against. And then I have to go off of my own experience. So based on...
That's not how learning happens.
No. If you got a study, right, you have a study, just give both of them credit to say they both are correct subjectively. They both have a subjective perspective here. Both of them are correct. Now, I can't. How am I going to choose who's right and who's wrong in this? It has to go down to what are my experiences, and does my experiences as a law enforcement officer and all of the officers that I know match one of these experiences?
That's not accurate.
Not unless you're saying one is right and one is wrong.
He literally couldn't talk himself out of a wet paper bag. Like, he's just lost. He's just completely confabulating concepts, misconstrued concepts that are meaningless. And like I said, Mr. Elliott Connie is such a gentleman about it. Like, I mean, I would just be like, okay, we're done here. like I can't talk to you anymore. He's busy parking his car in the yard. The Harvard professor is busy parking his car in the yard. I don't know what that means, but it sounds funny.
That is not accurate.
Are you saying that the Harvard study is wrong?
That is not what I'm saying.
Okay, then we're assuming, I'm conceding that both of them are subjectively correct. And whatever research
you got to let me explain how research is consumed. Research is absolutely not one is right and one is wrong. That's not how research is consumed.
Exactly. Subjective, because they have subjective truths.
No, let me explain, because I'm trying to explain to you how research is consumed, because it's not a matter of one research study being right and one research study being wrong. There are many factors in the research study, meaning what kind of study was it? Was it a double-blind research study, which is the gold standard? Was it a meta-analysis, which compares all kinds of research? How many subjects were in that research? Research is weighted, so it's not just like one is right and one is wrong.
No.
You can absolutely have two studies saying contrarian things, but one of them did far more rigorous things in response, and that matters.
Yeah, but you can also...
I got to say, it's funny how he's holding up his hands like he's under arrest. I wonder if he's been arrested. I bet he has. I bet he's been arrested. It's funny how he's holding up his hands sort of like he's trying to get Elliott to shut up because he wants to keep dominating the conversation. But he just can't admit that Elliott has things to say that make sense and that are important, and Brandon just wants to keep hearing himself talk, and he has nothing to say, and it's completely hodgepodge that makes zero sense. I bet he has to. Yeah. I mean, it's funny the way he has his hands up, and maybe he was arrested when he was a police officer, and so they gave him the opportunity to resign in lieu of being fired. Who knows? Maybe he had to get arrested, or I said when he was a police officer, when he was a public relations officer. Maybe he was taking bribes and doing things, and maybe he was impersonating a cop. Maybe he was telling the chicks on the street that he was a cop and then using that as leverage to exploit them. I bet you that's what it was. And then he probably got arrested for impersonating a cop. What do you want to bet? And that's what he's still doing. I'm not even kidding you. I think we just nailed it, Annabise. I think you and I figured it out. I think that Brandon needs to get arrested for impersonating a cop. I do too. I really do. You mean again? OMG, I was just typing that.
Research can be wrong too. People can have malicious reasons to do research and have imperfect findings because they've intended.
He does not even know what he's talking about. I don't even know that much about research, but research is always going to be driven by the things that people want to find. It's always going to be driven by who's funding the project. He just does not have any idea what he's talking about.
Be that way. I'm conceding to the fact that both of these research data points are objectively in good faith presented to the public. What I'm telling you is that you asked me, why do I lean more towards one than the other? I'm conceding that they both are fair, but then I have to go off of my lived experience. Let me give you an example. If you've been a clinician doing your job for 20 plus years, you have a study that says that Black people are not treated poorly whatsoever in your field, and you have one that says Black people are treated imperfectly all the time more consistently. You give them both fair weight as if these are good faith attempts to present information. You have to then rely on your personal experience to say
that is. You keep saying that. That is not
weighs
accurate.
more. I think that's the way people. You can't like.
Well,
I'm
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
For instance, I have never experienced racial encounters on the police department ever by any of the officers. Most of the officers that I know that work in primarily black neighborhoods.
So he it's nice to know that he's been inside everybody's brain that he's ever worked with. That's really cool. He knows everything. Oh my God. Yes, again, he didn't even listen to what Elliot just said. I know, he's fucking crazy. He's absolutely insane. He's so used to people just accepting his authority because he pretends that he used to be a cop, and he's this giant black man that has a lot of he's got a lot of charisma in a really, I mean, I don't like him, but he's smooth. He's a smooth talker. He's got a nice deep voice. He knows how to I guess he's a good actor or a bad actor, one of those.
Georgia
he's an
police
actor.
Officers, I actually mentored one of them. They are saying the same thing, that majority of our encounters are not racist encounters. My white colleagues are not racist against black people. It's a rare thing to happen. So all of the people I know, all of the experience I have, when I look at the two data points, objectively, I'm saying that I believe in the Harvard study, a professor who did an incredible study, who balanced and weighed all of the data. I'm saying that I
wait. What was that sentence? To balance the weight, all of the data, man. And he's totally shitting bricks now. He's like spinning out back to that Harvard guy. Oh, it's getting really entertaining, actually. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, just baffle them with bullshit. Yes, Big Hook, I'm glad you're still here. Exactly. He could be persuasive if you were a moron. Well, if you're a criminal and he's got a gun and a badge and a license to kill, yeah, he could be very persuasive.
Because that's also my experience.
Due to time, I have one more question I'm going to ask you, so we're going to move on to a different subject. But I am going to make this point about research. I am a consumer and producer of research. My entire field is based upon evidence-based research. I have to read it constantly to do my work. So if I read a study that says something like a particular therapeutic intervention is useful, and then another study that says that same particular therapeutic intervention is not useful, you are making the argument that I have to go on my own lived experience. But that is not true. Hold on, I'm making a point, and then we're moving on to the next topic. Okay. You're making the argument that now I have two contrarian but credible research studies saying different things. So now I have to rely on my own personal experience. And the truth is, I have to go into the study and say, how many subjects did they have?
We're not to that point. I'm not saying an illegitimate study. I'm saying two legitimate studies from different perspectives.
I'm saying legitimate studies still have different levels. You know what a power ranking is? Legitimate studies have power rankings. So
yes, but you do not know if the study that I'm referring to, the Harvard study, is.
Oh my God, the Harvard study. I was interrupting to say something about the hands again. I'm thinking maybe he's drunk. What do you think? He must be an alcoholic. Something's wrong with him. He's just a broken individual. Yeah. Probably fired for accepting sexual favors from women looking for leniency. Yep, absolutely.
It's powerful than the one that you presented. So what I'm saying is, let's just give both.
So you don't know that the study. But that's not how that works. You don't know. You don't know the other studies. Well,
let's do this. Let's both evaluate both of them. Then we'll come back and say which one is imperfect.
100%.
But this is what I'm saying. You can say
it's not about imperfect. If a person say who was more rigorous in their study.
If a person say that you interviewing a person in this environment is not conducive for the best interview for therapists, and you're saying And another study says, no, you can't interview a person in this environment. And you go, well, I get what they're both are saying. They both have credible research that they've done. But my experience is that when I interview people in this environment, I get good results. Like when people say, should you medicate a person with Percocet or should you medicate a person with this? There's holistic approaches and then there's medical approaches. At some point, you have to say, based on my information that I have derived.
Percocet. Oh, that's probably his drug of choice. Like, it's so late at night, and you know how my brain gets this late at night. And I'm thinking Percocet. What is that? Okay, Percocet is sort of like oxycodone or morphine. I'm gonna bet you that's like, why is he pulling Percocet out? Like, because he's talking to a psychotherapist. You would think he would have said something like Prozac, and maybe he's confused and he thinks Percocet is Prozac, but this is just effing crazy. But it's like it keeps getting better and better as much as I want to wrap up, because it's like almost 2:30 in the morning and we're going on 3 hours. I'm just like, okay, just 5 more minutes. It's funny, like the whole interview is just like hitting me like completely different than it did earlier today. Like, I didn't even think I could watch more than 5 minutes of it with you guys because I hate this guy so much. I was just like, I can't listen to him again, and I can't like subject you guys to it. This is too funny. What the F is he talking about, Josh? Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, it's crazy how he's saying all this. Yeah, he's really like coming unglued, isn't he? And he just won't let Elliot talk, and it's Elliot's freaking platform. See, Brandon has his own platform, and he doesn't have any like etiquette with, like, you're on someone else's platform. You let them be in charge. It's their house. You're the guest. God. Like, I always just like modify myself and allow my host to be the host and to guide and lead. Always. This is ridiculous. This guy's just rude as fuck. It's oxycodone, acetaminophen. Oh, really? Is it Percocet? I think I got hives when they gave it to me after my first cesarean, so I never had it again. I think that was the one that gave me hives, because I know it's a really good one that people like, and so I think I went with the oxycodone, which I thought had acetaminophen in it. I don't know. Anyway, blame it on the Canadians again, the Canucks, and he's raising his voice, and he's not stopping with them hands, man. He's like boob grabbing.
This works, although this study is claiming that it does not work. That's a fair assessment.
That is not a fair assessment. You were using the word objective, but then demonstrating bias.
You have people that say that if you, well, a person can do a research on this. You can have a person that says you handcuff this way, which is the most appropriate way to handcuff without violence. You have another person that say, no, that's not the way that you handcuff. You can handcuff this other way. You can be subjective in the way you think handcuffing should be done in order to be the most efficient and proficient in what you do. Both could be accurate, but other people can prefer to do a certain act because they've done it for 20 years and it works. So,
he said Derek Chauvin's name, and then he said nothing else about it. And now he's talking about handcuffing, and again, he's not making any sense at all. He's just spinning out of control. Like, he must be needing a Percocet or something. My neighbor occasionally takes a perk for his back, but he hates it because it knocks him out and he's already in pain. Canadians make too much sense to not, so let's not invite them again. Well, we love having you, Big Hook. Thank you for hanging. Anna B says, yes, Percocet and Roxyset. Oh, I don't even know what that is. I thought you were trying to like make Oxy more YouTube friendly or something. I don't even know what Roxyset is. Well, Josh, you build up a tolerance and you need it to not be sick. Yeah, I know. Those painkillers are rough. You know, me with my addictive passed. And then when they put me on those meds after each birth, after each cesarean, I was always, I tried to warn the physicians, like, I'm a recovering addict. Like, be careful with me, please, with the rugs, because they're very addictive.
I want to move on to the next topic due to time, but I do not believe you are an accurate consumer of research, given the way you are describing research.
I disagree with you, and I don't believe that you're accurate.
Fair. That's fine. That is totally fine. I am happy to do exactly what you suggested. We will both consume research and then come back and say, here's what we found, and we can explain the research to one another. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, that's be fair. All right, last question, and they get me out of here.
The last question.
Get me out of here.
Are you familiar with the term internalized racism?
I don't know what the definition would be in a clinical way, but I can deduce what internalized racism would be. But
what would you?
So the answer is no. My God, this guy's so difficult. They are the same thing, oxycodone and acetaminophen. Josh says, Anna, that's why he barely ever takes them.
What would you say that it is?
I've heard people say I've heard people say internalized racism is. Well, let me let you explain it, because I don't want to confuse.
Wait a second. This reminds me of when Trumpster Fire was sitting in the Oval Office in front of the cameras with, I think it was the Canadian Prime Minister, or maybe it was somebody British, and they handed him a letter. They said, we have this letter for you, and he opened it, and the guy said, do you want to read it out loud? And he handed it back to him and said, why don't you read it? Do you remember that? That's what he just did. Okay. This is too funny.
Go ahead and explain it, and then we can talk about it.
So,
I know what it is, but I'm going to let you explain it. Then we can talk about it.
Normally, people conflate the idea of internalized racism with self-hatred. And I have seen people say, and you alluded to it earlier, people say he hates his blackness. People say he hates his own skin, et cetera, et cetera. That's actually not accurate per the accurate definition of internalized racism.
Right.
Internalized racism is, I've adopted the mentality and ideas of the colonizer. So a more accurate description of the word would literally be
so let's get to the point.
Internalized colonizer.
Do you think that I fit in one of these statements?
I'm asking you, do you think you fit? Do you think that the term internalized racism towards you fits?
No, and I'm glad I didn't try to guess what the meaning was, because I believe I conflate the two.
But wait, I thought that he knew what the meaning was. He just couldn't explain it.
Internalized racism is adopting the perspective of the colonizer. 100,000%. That's not my perspective. That doesn't apply to me. If you're saying that I have self-hate, no, 100%.
I did not say it.
No, I'm not saying you did. Let me correct it. If the phrase of self-hate,
I would call it self-loathing,
is not applied to me either. So internalized racism and self-hate does not apply to me. So you believe that one of those apply to me?
I do. I do believe the term internalized racism.
Now, we gotta. I know we run low on time, but like, you're saying that I have adopted the perspective of the colonizer.
Yes.
Give me an example. It got to be true, because I know we run low on time. Where would you derive that I've adopted the perspective of the colonizer? And can you explain real quickly who that person is, or who that group of people are in America today?
I'll give you a very specific example. You said that you don't believe slavery stole money from the black community.
I did. That's not what I said. I said you cannot evaluate if slavery stole money. No, because if racism stole money, because money wasn't even on the table. It's not like slaves could even make money.
I'll play the clip. No.
So you can't say they stole something they never had a chance to make. That's what I was referring to. It's not like black people had money and then it was stolen from them when they were introduced into slavery, and then it could potentially have been given back to them. They never had the earning potential as being slaves. So nothing was stolen from them. Now, opportunities were not provided for them after slavery in an adequate way, but you can't say something was stolen that was never available to them.
So to be clear, you are saying black people never had anything, so thus it couldn't be stolen. Is that correct?
In slavery, the ones who were slaves, who was purchased as a slave, had nothing to gain or had nothing to, they had no possessions to hold on to because they were slaves. They weren't even considered persons.
This guy's killing
humans. They were property, like animals. They had no money to obtain or to give up or to relinquish. They had no choice.
And now he's doing the accordion hands.
So again, I just want to be very clear on what I'm hearing. You're saying that slaves had no property, so thus it couldn't have been stolen.
Clenching your jaw, your sleep, and that weird crawling feeling on your skin at night, buddy. That's freaking parasites. Don't believe?
Yes.
Okay, that is factually inaccurate. We know that from slave documents that they did have money. They were allowed at times to earn money.
Hold on.
And those things were taken.
Let's talk about it because I want to be very clear about this. I studied this in college. Now you're talking about, I'm perceiving the slaves that are on the plantation that were not able to work. They not like Harriet Tubman, who was married and she worked and she was married and her husband was a free black man. I'm not talking about Harriet Tubman. I'm talking about other slaves who were in slavery, who had no possessions of property. They were not allowed to work. They didn't work in the house. They weren't able to purchase their freedom. None of that. I'm talking about those people. I'm not talking about people who were house slaves, people who were servants in slavery, people like.
I'd call him a house slave. Is that racist of me? Okay, we are at 44 minutes and it's 58 minutes long. I'm going to try to cut it off soon because it's 2:30 and we're getting right up towards that 3-hour mark. Let's see. Trying to pick up where I left off. I can see that about the meds. Yeah, they do work well. Yeah, those meds do work well, but they're also very addictive. Elliot said, do you think that you are an Uncle Tom? And that's funny. Slaves built their wealth. The slave owners' wealth, right? And then they also had their own things that were stolen. Their own money and land. Yeah. He is so disgusted by his ancestors. His voice held contempt. Josh says money is representative of work.
Harriet Tubman, towards the end of her life, where she actually lived with her husband, who was a free black man and able to work. Some of her family members were free. And so I'm not talking about those particular slaves. So when you look at those particular slaves, some of which who were blacks who owned slaves, like I'm not considering those people. I'm considering people who had.
Wait. Now we're talking about the black slave owners. Oh my God, he's crazy. He's so crazy. Big Hook can't get away from us. Ta-Nehisi Coates would have a field day with this fool. Yeah, I don't know what Ta-Nehisi. If that's like YouTube friendly for the NAZI.
Therefore, they had nothing to build or take away from.
So that I can be abundantly clear, I believe you're just demonstrating internalized racism. Because when I said, I'm going to tell you, I asked you twice, can you be very clear? Are you saying this? And twice you said yes. And then when I gave you contrary information, you widened it. I'm not considering I widened it
because I believe that the conversation needs to be deeper than the surface level. Did they gain money or not? Because there's different phaseology, there's different phases, there's different people that were in different phases of slavery. Slavery was not all one thing. There were people who were slaves who worked. There were people who were slaves who were given an opportunity to purchase their freedom.
Okay.
There were people who were.
They all worked their asses off, dude. Oh, I mean, so now he's going to say black people are lazy. He's making my brain split in half. So yeah, probably I'm going to have to wrap it up in a minute now. For sure, Big Hook, famous Black author who retells the forgotten Black history. Okay, cool. I should write that name down. Where's my notebook? Hold on. Ta-Nehisi. Interesting. Famous Black author who retells the forgotten Black history. Yeah, I would be very interested in that for sure. There was some good white people, sir. You guys are the best.
Black who were once slaves, who then were free and then owned slaves. We can have a broader discussion about slavery. I'm saying the ones who did not have an opportunity whatsoever, that didn't even have a chance at having any possessions, could not have possessions taken away from them. If you want to go to Black people in general, we have to then talk about Black people who own slaves. We have to then talk about the first legal slave owner in American history, which was Anthony Johnson. We have to talk about
conversing with him is like a wild fucking goose chase. Wow. Okay, your last couple of comments. There was some good white people, sir. Probably spelled it wrong. Do a Google search. Yeah, I will. I'll check that out.
Black people who purchased their freedom and who also purchased other people's freedom in slavery. Those who never was a slave in the field. Those who always, in slavery had a different perception or a different position in slavery. So it's a dynamic discussion. Our premise was people who had absolutely no opportunity whatsoever should not be evaluated as the same as those who had an opportunity. So the conversation was post-slavery. Focusing on after slavery was abolished, where do we go from here?
Respectfully, I don't see a point in talking about the details because you keep moving it instead of.
I'm not moving it. You want to broaden up the conversation. You asked me a very basic perspective.
Clearly, what did you say? You said yes twice, and then I said, "But what about this?" And then you moved it.
And then I realized you want to broaden the conversation, so I broadened the conversation.
Fair. Due to time, can I ask you two more quick questions?
Okay.
One of them: are you familiar with the phrase moral disengagement?
Moral disengagement.
Okay. No. I do want to play the whole thing about the moral disengagement for you guys. It's really good. I own my time and labor. Yeah. Time and labor is a possession. I do say foghorn, leghorn. No, he wants you to answer a question. He's not going to answer a question.
So would you acknowledge, regardless of whatever opinions you hold, you're allowed to hold whatever opinions you want, would you acknowledge that some of the messages that you present cause harm to people?
Most people have no idea what their pocket change is really worth.
Fast forward through this.
One old Lincoln.
Skip.
Yeah, no, we got to be more detailed. You saying emotional harm? You saying physical harm? Are you saying people are harmed unjustifiably? They consider to be harmed by what I say. So I'm saying that your opinion
people should
can be
your opinion.
I have no intent to harm people by what I say.
One second.
I have no intent.
I don't want to be overtalked.
And people should not be harmed by what I say.
I don't want to be overtalked, and I don't want to have to put you on mute. I don't think. I think some of the stuff you communicate on the platforms you do causes harm to people.
In what
emotional
way?
Harm causes them trauma and stress to hear your message.
Okay, that's a personal thing that has nothing to do with what I'm presenting in my the way I intend to deliver it. It's not my fault that somebody's receiving personal harm in their own perspective because they don't like me saying that a black person was wrong. They feel harmed because I interview somebody. That's not legitimate.
It. No,
I'm saying these are the complaints that I'm hearing.
Let me ask you a more specific question. If I presented you with evidence of a human being whose life has been harmed by the messages that you've put out, would you change or would you do anything different on how you're putting messages out?
Well, it depends because there's no intent for me to harm anybody. You give me a specific example, meaning that if somebody legitimately came to me and said, hey, man, when you said this, it really hurt me and it was materialized, I may consider, depending on what I said, I can't not tell the truth because it hurts you. But if there's something I said, I can rephrase it, and it actually caused some harm to somebody.
I'm thinking of some of the things he said real recently about Nolan Wells and Nolan Wells' mother, Christine. No, he wants you to answer a question. Long way around saying absolutely nothing. Looking for a handout from Harlan Crow, just like Clarence Thomas. Yep, nailed it.
And they brought it to my attention. I'm open to that. But for somebody getting upset because they don't like that I criticize people who are having poor behavior because they are Black, that's not my fault that people are emotional. And the same thing is, some of the things you said, I don't think it's your fault that you said something that hurt my feelings. That's irrelevant. Like, is your intent to hurt my feelings? No. I just have to be a grown man and say, I don't like what you said about me. Let's have a conversation. But my intent with my content is just to tell the truth. If people's feelings are hurt because they don't like the truth, then I'm okay with that. And I know we got to run because I got to do a filming.
I just have literally one more minute, one more question, and it's about Teslin Figaro. When you are debating and having conversation about issues related specifically to the Nolan Wells case, I've noticed that she's been requesting an interview multiple times. Are you Teslin Figaro?
I don't know.
Are you willing to sit down with her?
I don't know who that is.
If I connect the two of you, would you be willing to have a conversation with Teslin?
I'll have a conversation with anybody. It just depends. I got to know who this person is.
She is an attorney. She is working in the Nolan Wells case.
Is she the lady in the comment section?
I don't know if she's a lady in comment
that you responded to.
I think she
said something like, "I don't know why Brandon won't debate me." Is that her?
I think her name is Teslin Figaro.
Is that who you're talking about? You responded to her in the comments. She said, "I don't know why Tatum won't debate me." No, she said, "I don't know why Tatum won't debate me or something, but he debates you." And you said you're gonna answer a question. Is that she's a Black lady?
She is a Black lady, correct? Would you be willing?
I think we're talking about the same person. I know who she is. I just didn't know her name. But it depends, man. She's super ghetto and disrespectful.
No. She's not.
He's like, I don't know who you're talking about. The lady in the comment section, she's super ghetto. Like, there's a lot of people in the comment section. He cray. No, I think we are all a little dumber from listening to you. Totally enemies.
Super ghetto, no disrespect.
I've been on an interview with her.
I understand that.
She's super educated. She's not very respectful. She talks crazy. I may still consider talking to her, but I just want to put it out there. She was wondering why I didn't debate her or nothing. Some people are not acting in good faith. And I don't want to get into an argument with somebody and they cussing and acting a fool. I feel like you've been respectful, although I disagree with you. You've been respectful in your commentary towards me, although I disagree with it. You haven't called me out of my name and you cursing and acting up. And so that's why I was willing to talk to you. But other people that are cussing and trying to get a gotcha moment, I'm not really interested. You know, like people got to realize I have 8 million people that follow me. I have an incredible platform. I don't really gain anything by going on other people's platforms. I just respect you enough to say I would like to have a conversation. And
well, I just want to go.
That talk crazy about me every day. I don't know. I got to consider if I would talk to her because I don't know if it would be productive.
Okay, I gotta let you go, but I will gonna go on the record and say I think you should sit.
I gotta kick you out. I can't take another second of you. Does he have 8 million followers? I thought he had 5 million, which is like 5 million too many, but I don't know. We should check and see how much he's exaggerating. I mean, maybe it's 8, but I think I would remember if it was 8. I mean, it was a lot.
Down and have a conversation with Teslin because she is just as informed and connected to this case and has interviewed just as many people as you have. And I think that's an important thing. So, Mr. Tatum, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Only watch this if you're between 61 and 79. Trust me, you'll thank me later. If you haven't seen this yet,
quiet down.
All right, guys. Man, I don't know what I think so far of the interview. Helen, can you remove him out of StreamYard?
it's going to take a while to recover from that, Mr. Elliott Connie. You did a great job, but yeah, I want to hear him for a minute. And let's see. From the ghetto comment is awfully revealing. Yeah, I mean, and it seemed really sexist too. Like he just instantly like body slammed her. How much does it cost to have that many bot fans? Oh, Big Hook. That's a good point. I always forget that people have a whole bunch of bot fans. It's a really good point. OMG, you're so smart. See, I get gaslit just as easily as anybody else, even though I'm always on the lookout for it. But yeah, I forget about that. I need to get some of those bot fans. Yep, Big Hook. What effing fool, black white apologist. Yeah, he's fucking out of his mind and makes such a fool of himself. The thing I like about Elliott Connie is he's got all of his sneakers in a box, in stacked up boxes lit up behind him. I think that's adorable.
I don't know what I think of the interview. I'll have to take some time to think about it. What I can tell you is I think every single term that I brought up, naive realism, internalized racism, I think all of those terms are accurate. Moral disengagement. Moral disengagement is if I know that things I'm saying are causing people harm, I'm going to, and I want to consider myself a good person, as all of us do, I'm going to selectively choose what things I attend to, what things I don't. And he is doing all of the things. And I wanted to have this conversation, quite honestly, for that reason. I am a mental health professional. It's what I do. I've been listening to Mr. Tatum this whole time, and I've been hearing it through a clinical lens. And I can see not just the grift, but I can see how he's doing it. So what was important to me to do today was to have a conversation where you could see what he's doing in real time. You saw him move. I was very intentional about every single word I said. I was very intentional about letting him talk when he spoke, but you watch him, he clearly does not know how to digest research. You don't take.
I'd call it mental gymnastics, man. Wow. We're so close to the end here. There were just like 4 more minutes. So maybe I won't play every minute of the 4, but I'll try to like wind it down as quickly as possible. I like Elliott Conley. Yeah, he's totally amazing.
Oh, these two things disagree, then all I have to go into my lived experience. That is not true. You have to weight the quality of that research, and all of us clinicians and people who consume research consistently, we all know that this is how we do that. The other thing that was interesting, did you guys notice this is how internal racism looks? And it was important to me to clinically be able to point this out. But this is how you see it happen. Did you notice that I asked him specifically about a very highly educated, a very highly qualified Black woman who is very well connected to the Nolan Wells case and works very closely with attorney Benjamin Crump, who has overtly called him out and said, I want to debate you. The first thing he did, in my opinion, was he lied. He was disingenuous. Who is that? Teslin Figaro is a very well-known person. She delivers news on CNN, Fox News, and The Breakfast Club very consistently. We know that he knows who she is. He has interacted with her several times, and she has called him out publicly several times. So he is asking us to believe that he has noticed Elliott Connie and his content and knows my name and knows me well enough to interact with me, but he doesn't know hers. And he doesn't know who this person is. Then he says disrespectful, rude things to her. Oh, you mean that super ghetto person? And he says, I'm not willing to engage with them because they talked about me in this way. This is how the grift works. He just moves his position very, very consistently. And I will close by saying this. one of the most accurate phrases. That's why I spent the most time talking about it. And the conversation, to a large degree, went exactly how I expected it to go. I did not expect him in any way to say, oh, wow, Ellie, you're making a great point. I acknowledge that point you made. But I wanted to do this interview so that you guys could see psychologically what is happening here. And the most important phrase that I think fits is what I refer to as naive realism, which basically means I believe my subjective experience represents the true experience, and people who hold that position are people who refer to themselves and who are next to authoritarianism. And you can see that he does that. That's why he wants to go by Officer Tatum, and that's a job he no longer holds. Authoritarianism matters when it's connected to his identity. And all of you need to acknowledge that if he does say to me, Elliot, oh, there is racial bias in policing, then a lot of his platform crumbles. And then lastly, he's getting social rewards, and social rewards are things like attention and money for having these positions. When you are in that position, your brain experiences contrarian information to your beliefs as an existential threat. And it responds to that existential threat by doing what we call identity protective cognition, which your brain says, I can't accept that threat because my entire psyche would suffer. So I have to protect my cognitive identity. And by the way, all of you think like he is lying and he's doing this, and he's aware. Existential threat defense, identity cognitive protection, that happens on a subconscious level. So he is very much not lying. He actually believes that he is being objective. He actually believes that he's doing these things. He is absolutely not aware that these things are happening. So thank you guys so much for being here. It was really important to try to have this conversation. I hope I did you guys justice, and I hope that I was able to highlight the psychological components to this conversation in a way that was useful to y'all. I love y'all, man. Thank you for being here. Please do not forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me over on Facebook if this is where you're watching it. I love y'all, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, he's such a cool guy. I think I fast forwarded through the part that I really wanted to share with you guys, so I'll have to review that and maybe readdress it. But it's so late. I should read your comments and then say good night and maybe peek at my notebook. Let's see. I've never heard that Mike Johnson excuse. I don't know what the Mike Johnson excuse was, Big Hook. I'm confused. I think we are enabling Jazz's insomnia, Invisalign addiction. Yeah, I know I'm getting really tired, and yeah, it's getting really late. It's almost 3. That's my cutoff. 8 minutes and I turn into a pumpkin. LOL, Big Hook. I know. See, back in the old days, Big Hook, we used to stay up all the long night with these marathon lives talking about the Kylie Rodney case. I don't know if you know much about the Kylie Rodney case. You've probably heard me talk about it a couple of times, but I don't know if you know much about it. We were all very passionate about it, and we still are. We've never lost that passion about that case, and it's a lot like the Nolan Wells case. So the Nolan Wells case has really kind of rebooted that whole thing. So that's probably why my lives are going on longer than they usually do. But yeah, Brandon Tatum is such a conundrum too. So he's just a time suck. So maybe I should just avoid that, right? Everything that feels good or tastes good is sinful or fattening. Damn it. I know. And we would fall asleep on live. That's true. I forgot about that, Anna Bees. That's hilarious. Okay. Okay. Warren said in his interview with Brandon Tatum, he said Nolan never asked for his phone. And didn't we hear it on one of the audio tapes that he asked for his phone? Give me my effing phone. And then that other guy, not Tristan, but what did you say his name was? Something like that, but more boyish. he said, no, that wasn't Nolan yelling. That was me yelling. And I wasn't yelling about a phone. At one point, Jack says about something. You can hear it on the CASHAPP call, which is funny because they try to debunk everything on the CASHAPP call, like in the background, but he refers to it and says you can hear it on the CASHAPP call. I'll have to review that, but I thought that was very revealing. It was almost like he was admitting that, or it was like he was admitting that the stuff you could hear on the CASHAPP call is true and accurate. So you know how I was talking about if Warren had guilty knowledge, or if Warren's stepmom, Judge Ashley Cole, had guilty knowledge, and then they're calling Christine and texting Christine and basically like harassing her and stalking her and taunting her. The taunting is huge. And if that's what they were doing, and it seems like that's what they were doing, the cruelty is one element of it, but the legal implications is a whole nother element of it. So, yeah, I think I should just sign off and say goodnight before I turn into that pumpkin that I keep talking about. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging. Let's see. I remember waking up listening to Shan and light was coming in the window. Yeah, she did a couple of like 10-hour lives. I remember trying to catch up on one on a Sunday, and I had like 10 hours of laundry to fold. And so I just like buckled down with my laundry and her live. And I wasn't, like I would try to listen to, if I had a long video I wanted to get through, I would sometimes try to listen to it on 1.5 or even like 1.25. But with Shan, you can't do that because she talks really quickly, or I can't anyway. So but I got through the whole 10 hours. It was rough, but I did it all on a Sunday. It was like a homework assignment, and I succeeded. And it was a good video. I think it was the one where she was really breaking down the sleepy photograph, the one with the flannel shirt and the leaves. And oh man, that is such a creepy damn photograph. So we got all these weird imaginary photographs in the Kylie Rodney case, like Sleepy and Shh, and the one that I was talking about in the back of the car with the Be Real. So those were all weird photographs. And then with the Nolan Wells case, we get all these weird photographs. But yeah. Or even the photograph of not Kylie in the deli mart, in the convenience store. You know, the one that they used, the still shot of the surveillance camera that may have been scammy. It certainly seemed like it was scammy, right down to that like pockmark in her cheek. Let's see. We're doing it live, damn it. Yeah, we're falling asleep now. Tristan, thank you, Annabise. Yeah, that name just, my brain just locks it out. He's a real despicable guy, and maybe that's why, because I just don't want to let him in my psyche. He's really creepy. Tristan is possibly worse than the guy we were just listening to in that interview for the last couple hours. Good night, everyone. Yeah, good night, everyone. Sending you lots of positivity. Oh, that one was good. I was awake through that whole 10-hour one. Damn. OMG. Yes, Sammy, Scammy. Yes, Mark got the mark on the cheek. Not Mr. Mark, but Mark Meeker, who we miss so much. Oh, man. That was sad. I think you're talking about Mark Meeker. He was the best. He was the bomb. All right, you guys. I will see you soon, and I'm going to sign off. Drink your water. Eat your protein. Thanks again.